magaan. Careful. Tapos may mali sa pakikita. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome, dear teachers from SDO Puerto Princesa. And we are very happy to have you with us in this 3-day activity on SPED, Inclusive Education Program. Um, Before we start with this afternoon's orientation program in session 1, we will have our national anthem and, of course, a short prayer. Please stand by.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang mag-ibig, helas ng sinakanan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, kuya ka ng mag-ibig, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagtatagtulog sa simoy at sa langit mong pagaw, ay tinatangtod lang awit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang islang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iindig, makituwin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidinig. Luha ng araw ng walhagin pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang inigaya ng pagkay mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
How lovely is your dwelling place, O Lord, mighty God, Lord of all. How lovely is your dwelling place, O Lord, mighty God, Lord of all. Even the lowly sparrow finds a home for her brood, and the swallow a nest for herself where she may lay her young. In your altars, my King and my God. How lovely is your dwelling place, O Lord, mighty God, Lord of all. Blessed are they whose dwelling is your own, Lord of peace. Blessed are they, refreshed by springs and by rain, when dryness daunts and scathes. Behold my shield, my King, and my God. Lovely is your dwelling place, O Lord, mighty God, Lord of all. I would forsake 1,000 other days anywhere if I can spend one day in your courts, belong to you alone. My strength are you alone, my glory, my King, and my God. Mighty God, Lord of all. How lovely your dwelling place, O Lord, mighty God, Lord of all.
Good afternoon again, dear teachers from SDO Puerto Princesa, and welcome to our 3-day program. Now, for this afternoon, before we start with our first session, we have two tasks before us. First, of course, is the introduction of your learning service provider, which is i.LEAD, and of course, an orientation which will prepare us for what to expect in the next 3 days. So hold on lang po while we set up our presentation. By the way, I am Florendo. I will be your webinar facilitator also for all of the 4 sessions. Allow me to provide you a brief background of i.LEAD as your chosen learning service provider. i.LEAD is a non-stock, non-government organization whose founding members share the advocacy of spearheading reform in and through education. Coming from the various sectors of the academe themselves, founding members are well aware of the needs of teachers in the Philippines, especially in this crucial period where many of our teachers in the elementary and secondary levels need a reorientation and retooling to continue to become effective agents in the transformation of the Philippine educational system. As stakeholders in our nation's future through continuing education, i.LEAD recognizes the need to provide relevant and quality trainings and workshops for educators by tapping experts in the academe who share the same advocacy and vision of educational transformation. Founded in 2015, i.LEAD has conceptualized its lineup of activities by carefully studying the needs of educators vis-a-vis the new curricula in the elementary, secondary, and tertiary levels. Though many organizations have the same objectives and share the same vision, i.LEAD has its own pool of experts from various disciplines, and its offerings of seminars, workshops, and in the future conferences are products of careful and critical needs and systems analysis to ensure only the highest quality of service for its clientele. After all, we are all stakeholders in education as teachers, parents, and students, and we all stand to gain in this transformation toward global competitiveness. I present to you our mission, vision, and core values. i.LEAD envisions itself as a catalyst for change by making accessible the best training and continuing professional development to teachers all over the Philippines. We are committed to designing the best programs, tapping the best resource persons to deliver quality programs for all our participants, and bringing high quality in-service training to teachers in all levels. Our mission is therefore to uplift the quality of education by extending training and continuing professional development for all teachers, keeping in mind our core values of excellence, innovation, and commitment to the delivery of quality education. i.LEAD continues its service to the nation. Due to our commitment to excellence, in 2017, i.LEAD was accredited as PRC CPD provider of programs for professional teachers. And since our accreditation, all our program offerings have been accredited by PRC. In 2020, i.LEAD has also been accredited and authorized as a DepEd NAEAP learning service provider. And since 2021, all our offerings have been recognized by DepEd NAEAP. Pursuing our advocacy and as a way of giving back to the community, i.LEAD has successfully sponsored youth development projects in Waigdaya, Ilocos Sur, where our head office is located. And this has been a model initiative picked up and sustained by the LGU of Galimuyod in Ilocos Sur. Let me present to you our officers. First, of course, is our president, Dr. Jonathan Florendo, who has been an educator for more than 20 years. Living his philosophy of lifelong learning, Professor Florendo earned his PhD in philosophy from the De La Salle University in 2020. Our vice president, Dr. Ronald Tagawa, is the most experienced member of i.LEAD with more than 20 years of teaching experience in the prestigious HEI North of Manila. He holds a doctorate in philosophy from the De La Salle University to cap his degrees earned. Professor Tagawa is known for his proactive stance in social and political issues, especially those involving education and labor. Our secretary, Ms. Maria Ila Yumul, is a passionate teacher, tutor, mentor for young minds. Having been in the teaching profession for more than 15 years, i.LEAD secretary has set aside her dream to become a doctor after finding her niche as teacher of high school in the IB program at Xavier School in Green Hills, San Juan, and at Xiamen International School in China. She's currently pursuing her master's in education major in biology at the University of the Philippines in Diliman and earned her Bachelor of Science major in biology from the Ateneo de Manila University. Sharing i.LEAD's vision of education for nation building, she has committed herself to sharing her experience and expertise to teachers from all sectors of education. And yours truly, as i.LEAD's managing director and treasurer, I am an accomplished educator, researcher, and faculty administrator at the University of the Philippines in Baguio. I'm currently pursuing my PhD in applied linguistics at Lancaster University in the UK. As i.LEAD's treasurer, I'm still actively engaged in research, conference, presentation, and publication. I've headed curricular review and revision of the graduate program of the College of Arts and Communication at UP Baguio, and also spearheaded various extension programs for teachers north of Manila. Our auditor, Professor Ana Maria Coloma, is a prolific researcher and conference presenter in national and international fora. With more than 15 years of teaching experience in the tertiary level, Professor Coloma has put her education to good use by serving the Filipino people as an educator in the Tarlac State University. Presently, she's pursuing her doctorate in communication at the UP Open University. I present to you our thrust as an organization. From 2015 to 2020, i.LEAD has held 25 face-to-face programs in Baguio City, Davao City, and Legazpi City. In 2021, we have held 15 online programs, mostly catering to partner schools division offices, namely Malolos, Zambales, Parañaque, Ifugao, Digos City, Mati City, Maycaywayan, San Juan, to name a few. Our topics range from languages, which include teaching of the mother tongue, Filipino and English, the humanities, social sciences, mathematics, science, educational management, and leadership and research. Our directions, of course, as an organization, we aim to improve and diversify our program offerings, responding to and aligning with the trusts of DepEd NAEP. And this include designing more programs about managing schools under DRRM and learning continuity plans, teaching and undertaking research, including action research, educational and applied research, humanities in the 21st century, language teaching and research, and ICT for education, among others. Let me present to you our 7 DepEd NAEP recognized programs. First is the Educational Management and Leadership Program, the role of teachers and school heads in developing educational learning. This program is designed to train teacher participants as proactive, engaged, and empowered teacher administrators in the 21st century educational context. This program will run from the 18th to the 20th of November with 7 PRC CPD credit units. We also have a research program. This focuses on conducting distance research, qualitative, quantitative, and mixed methods. The program is designed to provide teacher participants with relevant, innovative, and much needed training in doing online research data gathering using various methods, including qualitative, quantitative, and mixed methods. And this program will run from the 25th to the 27th of November with 10 PRC CPD credit units. We also have a language teaching program which focuses on teaching English, Filipino, and the mother tongue. And this program is designed to address the need for a more aggressive retooling and training in the teaching of languages, especially the teaching of English, Filipino, and the mother tongue to multilingual Filipino learners. It will run on the 11th to 13th of November with 6 PRC CPD credit units. We have a mathematics teaching program as well, and this program is designed to reskill and upskill teachers in the basic education with the know-how and technology capability to deliver effective mathematics education using the online platform and face-to-face platform as well, to be complemented by the possibility of adapting these strategies for modular learning. This has been offered from the 7th to the 8th of October with 8 PRC CPD units. We have a science teaching program. The program is designed to enhance science teaching using available virtual tools, applications, and software in combination with time-tested classroom teaching methods. And it was held last week for the 14th to the 16th of October with 8 PRC CPD units. And we are currently running our SPED program exclusively for the division of Puerto Princesa. But we'll have another SPED program educating diverse learners and learners with special needs, which will run next week. This program is designed to address problems of learners who appear to be in the margins of class performance and learners with special needs. And this has been awarded 8 PRC CPD credit units. Finally, we have our professional development program, which focuses on using virtual scenarios to create effective learning. This program is designed to equip and empower teacher participants to be technology and internet savvy educators who are able to create, adapt, and innovate virtual classrooms for different courses and subject areas. This will run on 2 to 4 December with 6 PRC CPD credit units. We also have more programs in the works, and this include gender and development research, teaching the humanities and the social sciences, DRRM and planning for school settings, including learning continuity plans, and of course, programs for our non-teaching personnel. We now move on to our orientation proper. Again, welcome to our dear teachers from the division of Puerto Princesa in Palawan, and we're very happy to hold this 3-day program for all of you. Now, in order for us to have a very productive program, allow me to give you some reminders about our program. First is all i.LEAD webinar workshops are DepEd NEP recognized and PRC accredited. Therefore, there are requirements for participating in our program. Of course, first is attendance in all of our synchronous sessions. And to record your attendance, we have put up the attendance link for session 1 in our FB group page. So later po after our first session, you can go back to that attendance link if you've not yet accomplished it. You can accomplish it in our FB group page. For those of you who have not yet joined our FB page, kindly do so. So after the orientation and after session 1, we'll be accepting the pending membership requests. Second requirement is, of course, accomplishment of our asynchronous activities and workshop outputs. This comes in the form of an assessment tool. And this is a Word file that I have also already uploaded on our FB group page. Kaya po mahalaga na maging part po tayo, member po tayo ng ating FB group page. Don't worry po because we try to ensure data privacy by accepting only registered participants to this program. We refer to the list given to us by SDO Puerto Princesa, and that is our basis for accepting your admission request to our FB group page. So kindly po, answer membership questions. So if you're a registered participant and your registered name. So some of us po are using our nicknames or other names in our FB account. So that's the purpose po of asking for some membership questions like your registered name. So kindly respond to these questions po para mas mabilis yung pag-accept natin sa ating FB group page. Okay? Next. Okay. We have synchronous sessions. These are held via Zoom. So if you're here now in the Zoom platform, I assume that you've given us your correct email address. So reminder to join the Zoom link at least 30 minutes before the program begins. Get in touch with us in case of technical problems. But of course, it helps to have someone with you who can help you with technical issues, especially when the sessions are ongoing. These sessions, our synchronous sessions, allow real-time interaction between the resource speaker and you, dear teachers. You can ask questions using the chat box or during open forum sessions. In case you miss a recording of this video can be accessed on the FB group via a YouTube link. So all our sessions po are being recorded. So if you miss any part of our sessions, you can go back to them by viewing the YouTube link on our FB group page. In case of power interruption or loss of internet access on your end, as teacher participants, the synchronous sessions may be accessed anytime. So pwede nyo po siyang balikan via the YouTube posted on the FB group page. So wag po tayong mag-worry. Sometimes our internet access is intermittent or sometimes we have power problems, power interruptions. You can go back to the video anytime. In case naman po of power interruption or loss of internet access on the end of the speaker or on our part as host of the Zoom platform, a recorded video will be uploaded as soon as possible on YouTube and also made available to all participants in order to complete the session. So we try to prepare for contingencies, but of course, if this happens, it's best that we have a backup plan. Some Zoom reminders. We request that you kindly use your registered name as your Zoom profile. So if you want to change your Zoom profile, kindly click on the participants on your screen, and then click on your profile and click rename. The purpose of this is so you can be properly addressed, especially when the sessions are ongoing and there is interaction between our participants and our speakers. Make sure po that your mic is on mute during the synchronous session. So kung napapansin niyo po, pag accidentally you click on your mic, we manually mute the participants because it disrupts the flow of the synchronous session. So kindly be mindful of your the mic on your device. Turning the video on is optional. We understand po that it slows down your connectivity. So kung kaya naman po ng ating internet, you can turn on your videos while the sessions are ongoing, or turn on your video when you are called upon by our speaker for open forum or for interactions. The chat box is used for comments and questions regarding the lecture, which will be read by the facilitator, and that's me, during the open forum session. So if you have questions about the session, you can use the chat box for that purpose. But if you have questions po that are personal questions regarding your participation, if you're looking for the attendance link or other questions that refer only to your own concerns, kindly use the direct message function. Attire is casual in case you care to turn on your video, and for group picture also at the end of our synchronous session. Part of our program is also our asynchronous session. This refers to offline workshop activities that may be accomplished by pair, by group, or individually. These sessions are part of our activity. It's approved as part of the number of hours of this program. Each webinar session has an accompanying task or workshop output to demonstrate the learning outcomes. So ito pong outputs na ito, nandun po yun sa sinasabi ko kaninang assessment tool. It is in a Word file and it has already been uploaded on our FB group page. So later po, maybe after our first session, you can download it and save it already on your device. You're expected to accomplish and submit each one for every session. So since we have four sessions, there are also 4 small tasks for you to accomplish. These activities and workshop tasks are posted on the FB group page for everyone. Ideally, each task should be accomplished before the beginning of the next session para po hindi tayo ma-overwhelm. Pwede po natin siyang sagutan task 1 after session 1, task 2 after session 2 para po unti-unti natatapos po natin yung ating assessment task. Allow me to give you an overview of our program. This is day 1 of our program and we started at 1 p.m. with an orientation and opening. So this is our orientation program. And this will be followed by our synchronous session at 2 p.m. So still on the same platform. So pag natapos po yung ating orientation program, maybe we can take a short break, but don't leave the Zoom platform anymore because we will resume promptly at 2 p.m. for our session 1. The activities for session 1 will be immediately disseminated after the synchronous session. For day 2, our program starts at 8. Our Zoom opens at 8 with some reminders, some instructions, and to entertain questions about the lecture and activities from session 1. The session 2 synchronous session begins at 8:30 in the morning, still via the Zoom platform. Kung mapapansin po ninyo, yung ating link po for the sessions, for all the sessions, the same lang po siya, so hindi po tayo maliligaw. So it's the same link that you will join for tomorrow. The afternoon session naman po for tomorrow begins at 1:30. That is session 3, still on the Zoom platform. Day 2 is a whole day event with both synchronous and asynchronous activities. So whole day po tayo bukas. Make sure to join the Zoom lectures or watch them via YouTube. Post comments or questions to join the open forum. Make sure also to accomplish all required workshop outputs. On day 3, our last day, Sunday, again, we opened the Zoom platform at 8 with final reminders to entertain questions and clarifications from sessions held on day 2. Session 4, synchronous session, begins at 8:30 in the morning. So wag po kayong mag-aalala, hindi po tayo full day on Sunday. So we will have about 2 hours of synchronous session and then you can move on to accomplish all the tasks po for assessment task for sessions 1 to 4. So sandali lang po tayo sa Sunday. So wag po tayo mag-aalala. Make sure to join the Zoom lectures, watch them on YouTube, via our FB group page. You can post comments or questions to join the open forum. On the last day po, you will be reminded to collate all of your activities and workshop tasks from sessions 1 to 4. You will be asked to create one PDF file with your workshop outputs from all the sessions and using your name as your file name. Ito na po yung pinaka output natin for the 3-day activity. And this will be submitted through a submission bin which we will post on our FB group page on day 3. Don't worry po about this. I will remind you every session about your assessment task. Also, on the last day, you will be asked to answer the evaluation tool for this webinar workshop. Again, this is a requirement before we can say that you have completed the 3-day program. And this will come in the form of a Google link, a Google form, which can be accessed only once. So we request that you kindly read the instructions carefully before answering. A link to this will be accessible on the FB group page on Sunday. Accomplishment of this form is required before we can send your certificates for this webinar. For this program, you will receive 3 certificates. First, of course, is a certificate of completion bearing the NAIAP program recognition number, a certificate of attendance with the PRC accreditation number and credit units, and a certificate of recognition for your workshop outputs. So, provided that you have satisfactorily accomplished all of the activities or assessments for this program. Okay, so that's the end of our orientation proper. And I think we can take a quick break before we start with our session at 2 p.m. Pwede po tayong kumuha ng snack natin because we have 2 hours of synchronous session or a quick comfort room break before we start with this afternoon session. We will resume our program at 2 p.m. Thank you, dear teachers. Mamaya po after our synchronous session, we will have our group picture when we're more or less complete. We'll resume at 2 p.m.
Oh, the first day that we signed up for Monday.com, our department was already able to connect our processes, our software.
Minsan sa may kalayaan tayo nagkatagpuan, may mga sariling gimik at kanya-kanyang angat sa buhay. Sa ilalim ng isang bubong, mga sekretong ibinubulong, kahit na anong mangyari, kahit na saan ka man patungo. Ngunit ngayon, kay bilis maglaho ng kahapon. Sana'y huwag kalimutan ang ating mga pinagsamahan. At kung sakaling tipitin ay laging iisipin na minsan tayo ay naging tunay na magkaibigan. Sa buhay natin, luman hanggang sa magdamag, na para bang tayo'y mauubusan. Sa ilalim ng bilog na buwan, mga tiyan natin walang laman. Ngunit kahit na walang pera, ang bawat gabi anong saya. Ngunit ngayon, kay bilis maglaho ng kahapon. Sana'y huwag kalimutan ang ating mga pinagsamahan. At kung sakaling tipitin ay laging iisipin na minsan tayo ay naging tunay na magkaibigan. Minsan ay hindi mo na alam ang nangyayari, kahit na anong gawin, lahat ng bagay ay mayroong hangganan. Dahil ngayon, tayo ay nilingot ng kahapon. Di na mapipigilan, buhayin ang ating pinagsamahan. Ngunit kung sakali mapadaan, baka ikaw ay aking tawagan, dahil minsan tayo ay naging tunay na magkaibigan.
Toto'y tumalong ka, tumapa kung kailangan, at baka tamaan pa ng mga balang ligaw. Toto'y makinig ka, huwag kang magpagabi. Baka pagkamalangkat humandusay dyan sa tabi. Toto'y alam mo ba kung ano ang punot dulo nang di matapos-tapos ng kaguluhan ito? Hindi pula't dilaw, tunay na magkalaban. Ang kulay at tatak ay di siyang dahilan. Hanggat marami ang lubog sa kahirapan, at ang hustisya ay para lang sa mayaman. Habang may tatsulok at sila ang nasa tuktok, di matatapos ang gulo. Liligtas ang hininga kay naming mga tao, at ang dating munting bukid ngayon'y sementeryo. Toto'y kumilos ka, balik na rin ang tatsulok, tulad ng dugha na ilagay mo. Doktor, hindi pula't dilaw, tunay na magkalaban. Ang kulay at tatak ay di siyang dahilan. Hanggat marami ang lugmok sa kahirapan, at ang hustisya ay para lang sa mayaman. Habang may tatsulok at sila ang nasa tuktok, di matatapos itong gulo. Dilaw, tunay na magkalaban. Ang kulay at tatak ay di siyang dahilan. Hanggat marami ang lubog sa kahirapan, at ang hustisya ay para lang sa mayaman. Habang may tatsulok at sila ang nastuktok, di matatapos itong gulo. Habang may tatsulok at sila ang nasa tuktok, di matatapos itong gulo. Di matatapos itong gulo. Am I in? Do the words I speak before you make you feel that the love I left from you sing no ending? Well, if you look into my eyes, then you should know there's nothing hidden out, nothing nothing. And you can lay your questions down, 'cause if you want me, so we can fade into the night, and you know. Forever by your side. down so you can understand that there's a greater love tonight than what I for you. Well, if you feel the same way for me, then let go, so we can journey to a garden no one knows. Have you showed my darling, tell me that you love me, so we can fade into the night. And you know the world couldn't die, and everything may lie, still you shan't cry. 'Cause time may pass, but longer than you days, I'll be by your side, forever by your side. Sweetheart, the world couldn't die, everything may lie, still you shan't cry. 'Cause time may pass, but longer than you days, I'll be by your side, forever by your side, forever by your side, sweetheart. Oh, child, my love, forever by your side, forever by your side, forever my love. There we go. Thank you very much, everybody.
Good afternoon, dear teachers. It's 1:50, so I will just introduce the first session for this afternoon and introduce our speaker as well. So we can also do audio check and screen check with her after my introduction. Okay, welcome to the first session. Our first session is ABCs of Applied Behavioral Analysis. The common practice in Philippine classrooms integrates students without prior behavioral assessment or evaluation. And this results in the diverse composition of students in one class. And the advisor, subject teachers are faced with student behavior problems that interfere with effective classroom management. The objective of this session is to orient classroom teachers, especially those without in-depth special education background, with the basic strategies in identifying and addressing common behavior issues of our learners. Our expected learning outcomes this afternoon first is to develop a deeper understanding of the behavior of learners in the classroom and to adapt practical strategies for assessing and analyzing behavior of students in class, especially behaviors that hamper effective learning. Our assessment for this session, this is differentiated assessment po, and the categories have been handed down to us by DepEd NEA. So when we say proficient teachers, this refers to our teachers 1, 2, 3. And if you are master teacher up, nandito na po tayo sa category ng highly proficient teachers. So for our dear proficient teachers, you're asked to identify practical assessment strategies that you will adapt or adopt in your own classroom. So iba-iba po tayo ng context. So tignan po natin yung presentation this afternoon and see what assessment strategies will be useful for us. And then for the highly proficient teachers, you're asked to construct a practical assessment tool. Although mamaya po may share din sa atin na assessment tool. So pwede po natin tignan if we can adopt these assessment tools and propose a strategy that can be applied in your own school for assessment of your learners. So tignan po natin yung mga tools mamaya kung alin yung applicable sa atin. To help us address our learning outcomes and answer our assessments for this afternoon, we're very lucky to have with us Ma'am Gina Luna Bermudo, who specialized in applied behavioral analysis. So kakaunti lang po silang certified applied behavioral analysts sa Pilipinas. She specialized in applied behavioral analysis at the University of Massachusetts in the USA and graduated with a perfect GPA. She is currently taking her second master's degree in curriculum and instruction major in applied behavioral analysis and education at the same university. Gina is currently qualified in several behavioral analysis certification body, and these include Certified International Behavior Analyst, U.S. Board Certified Behavioral Analyst, Certified Qualified Behavior Analyst, and Certified Autism Specialist. She finished her first master's degree in education, major in special education, at the University of the Philippines as a consistent university scholar, and graduated with an Academic Excellence Award and a GPA equivalent to summa cum laude. She is also a graduate of Ateneo de Manila University with a bachelor's degree in mathematics, major in computer science. Gina is a lifetime member of Pi Gamma Mu, the only international honor society concerned with the social sciences, and Phi Kappa Phi, an honor society that recognizes superior scholarship in all academic disciplines. Her study, titled Attitudes on Assistive Reproductive Techniques of Parents with Teens with Autism, was recognized for outstanding research at Harvard University in Boston, Massachusetts. The UP College of Education Alumni Association recognized her professional achievement in special education for community service with the 2019 Most Outstanding Alumna Award. Moreover, she is a Gintong Medalya awardee, an award given to an outstanding citizen who has contributed to nation building, served their community in exceptional capacity, performed their functions above and beyond the call of duty, and served as an inspiration to their fellow men. Gina is a producer and composer of the song album Mga Awiting Alay sa Autismo, a compilation of heartfelt composition inspired by her two boys on the spectrum, Nico and Sandy. Of course, her favorite role is a full-time mommy to the boys and a devoted wife to Lito. Ladies and gentlemen, dear teachers, let's welcome our resource speaker for this afternoon, Ma'am Gina Luna Bermudo. Ma'am Gina, hello, welcome back.
Hi, thank you so much, Doc Ria. Okay, it's good to be back. And thank you for trusting me always, no? So, my dear participants, anong group po ito, Doc Ria?
They are teachers from SDO Puerto Princesa, all of them.
Wow. Ang saya naman, no? Sana face-to-face, no? Para
Yun
mas
nga po binawi nila sayang.
sayang. Hindi bale next time. Because kasi, okay, lahat kasi ng seminars ko masaya. Alam ni Doc Ria yan. Kaya lang mas masaya pag face-to-face, no? Kasi pag face-to-face, meron kayong opportunity to, yung workshop, no? But anyway, ito pa rin, no? Let's make the afternoon, fun-filled, full of laughters, learning, and understanding. Now, for the seminar to be successful, I need you to participate. Kasi iba-iba yan You have your own cases. And the best way to learn, I hope Doc Ria will agree with me, no matter how good the presentation is, no matter how good the presenter is, okay, if the cases, the cases that we present, hindi suitable doon sa need ninyo, mahirap matuto. So mas maganda if you participate, you ask questions, I encourage that. You present to me your cases and we will try to analyze that. At saka ang maganda kasi pag merong interaction, you get immediate feedback. So ako kasi dyan ako natututo more on the feedback. Okay? So I encourage you to ask questions and sana it would be nice if you can turn on your cameras para I can see all your beautiful faces. No? Kasi ang lungkot naman, nagsasalita ka tapos nakikita mo mga pangalan lang. Di ba, Doc Ria? Okay. So, can I have a screen share, please?
Go ahead po.
Okay. So, actually, Doc Ria, I tweaked the presentation. Hi, Sir Leo. It's good to see you. Leo Anyar, si Ma'am Cleverly Macola. See, it's nice. Now, meron na kayong faces and I like that. And then, especially if you ask questions, no, I like it even more. Okay. Ay, teka ha. Ulit, Dr. Rhea. Sandali lang. I need, sandali lang. Stop share. Then I'll do screen share. Then advance. Motion screen share. Okay. Can you see it po, everybody? Wait.
Yes, visible na po, Ma'am Gina.
Yeah, sabihin nyo lang pag hindi, hindi visible yung screen.
Yes.
Okay. By the way, thank you for the intro. Okay. Now, introduction to ABA. So I'm sure narinig nyo na, no? Narinig nyo na ba? Are you familiar with ABA? Mga teachers, are you familiar po with ABA? Okay. So I'm sure naririnig nyo, no? Naririnig nyo what is ABA, ano ba talaga ang ABA. And there are a lot of misconceptions about ABA. Yun yung dinagdag ko, Doc Ria, in the presentation. Like it's a bit of history, paano, bakit nangyayari yon? Because karamihan ng mga teachers, no, even therapists and parents, they get confused between ABA and discrete trial training. Kasi akala nila, karamihan ng mga teachers, akala nila, pag one-on-one na at saka merong SPED na involved component, may behavioral component, it's one-on-one, that is already an ABA. So yun yung medyo i-correct natin. So now, I'll introduce you to ABA, or I would like to welcome you to my world, the world of ABA. So the presentation overview is, of course, what is ABA? So ginawa ko, kinuha ko yung ABA and then I designed the lesson around that. So ABA is applied. So anong ibig sabihin ng applied? What are the socially significant behaviors? So the behaviors that we need to change should be socially significant. To whom? For whom? Okay, so yan yung importante. Like example, kung yung bata ay maingay sa klase. Now, do you want to address that behavior because you want the child to behave? Or do you want to address that behavior kasi naiingayan ka? So, it's very important. Either it's okay. If you can address that behavior dahil you want to help the kid, or you can address the behavior na naiingayan ka. Either way, it's correct. But you have to be very, very clear kung ano yung behavior, no? Whose behavior are you trying to influence? And number two, of course, there is no ABA without behavior. So we have to define what is behavior, what are problem behaviors, what are the target behaviors, and what are the operational definition of behaviors. Now, the operational definition is very, very important because without operational definition, meron kang disconnect. Nagkakaroon ka ng disconnect between your intervention and then yung intervention mo, yung implementation mo, and the problem that you are addressing. And the last, of course, is we have to analyze. We have to analyze the behavior, we have to analyze the intervention, and we have to analyze the data. Now, dito sa analysis, I want to show you what happens kung, nagbigay ka ng intervention without assessment. Kasi karamihan sa atin, no, lalo na yung mga SPED teachers sa inyo, mga SPED teachers, minsan dadalhin na sa atin yung bata, then we implement intervention right away without assessment. And by doing that, it's, we might be doing more harm than good. Then of course, I will discuss what is assessment and what are the functions of behaviors. And then what is a behavior intervention plan. Okay. So now, Doc Rhea, naka-pause ba yung aking screen? Nakalagay doon, your screen sharing is paused.
Gumagalaw naman, Ma'am Gina. Nandun na sa common behavior problems.
Okay, school problem. Yeah, kasi nakalagay dito is pause. So anyway, let me know if the screen is not moving. Now, ito yung common problem natin sa school. Di ba, Ma'am Beverly Macola? I see your beautiful face. Now, tell me, di ba karamihan ng problema natin sa schools ay pag may mga issues yung mga bata, parang nakaset yung mind natin that we focus on the academic problems. Di ba? Parang may problema yung bata. Kunwari hindi siya magaling sa math, or hindi siya magaling sa English, or hindi siya magaling sa Filipino. The very first thing that we do is to check the academic problems. Tama? Bakit siya nakuhuli? Bakit hindi niya naiintindihan? But little did we know that yon ay half lang of the issue. Baka may behavioral problem yung bata. Kaya hindi siya nakakaaral, kaya hindi siya nakaka-cope with the academic demands or the academic tasks because probably may behavioral issue yung bata. So kadalasan nakakaligtaan natin yon, di ba? Ma'am Clever, ganda naman ang pangalan mo, Ma'am Cleverly. Kasi minsan as teachers, nakatrain tayo ang objective natin is to, parang yung bata dapat makahabol siya academically. But sometimes we forget the behavioral issues. Na yung behavioral issues pala, merong effects sa academics. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Classroom scenario. Classroom scenario. Ma'am Rhea, mga grade school teachers ba sila? Elementary or high school or college? Halo-halo na ito.
Mix siguro to ng elementary and high school, Ma'am Gina.
Okay, so sige. Para I can readjust the language din. Kasi walang college, no? Walang masters, walang college. So it's...
Wala po. Wala po.
Okay, good. So now, so example, classroom scenario. teacher ka, tayong lahat, teacher tayo. It's a classroom scenario. So example ito, yung teacher is teaching math. Okay, so nagtuturo ngayon siya ng math. Now, meron kang student na tayo ng tayo sa upuan, hindi mapakali. Tayo ng tayo, tayo ng tayo. So, Ma'am Lea, di ba? Ladera, meron ka ring case na gano'n na may bata, tayo ng tayo, tayo ng tayo. No? So, sa katatayo ng bata na yon, it bothers you, it bothers the entire class, and it impedes the learning of the child. So ngayon, as a teacher, si Ma'am Lea, kinausap niya yung bata, kinausap niya ng maayos, tapos hindi pa rin nakinig, medyo tinakot niya, hindi pa rin nakinig, pinalabas na niya sa classroom, hindi pa rin nakinig. So instead of the child's behavior decreasing, the behavior is increasing. Di ba? Nangyayari sa inyo yun, Ma'am Lea. Ginawa mo na lahat, no? Ginawa mo na lahat, tapos yung bata, nag-i-increase pa rin yung behavior. So it's not going to the direction that you want. Tama, Ma'am Lea? You stay with me. Tama? You unmute because I want to talk to my audience.
Yes, ma'am.
Tama?
I agree. I agree.
Now, nangyayari din yon, Ma'am Lea, na ginawa mo na yung lahat. Ginawa mo na lahat yung magagawa mo. No? Hindi pa rin nag-improve to the point that you begin to doubt yourself. Ano bang ginawa ko na mali? Diba? Parang binalik mo na sa sarili mo. Ano ba yung ginawa kong mali? Bakit itong estudyanteng ito ay hindi niya sinusunod? Pinanish ko na siya. I already punished him. Pinagalitan ko na siya, nilabas ko na I did everything. Pero bakit ganon? Tama, Ma'am Lea? Yeah.
Yes,
What?
ma'am.
Now, yon na yon ang nangyayari yan. The reason why na hindi nagyan yan, my dear teachers, if you tried everything that you could to address that behavior, but it is going to the direct opposite direction, the trend is going to the opposite direction, then you have to reevaluate yourself. Is my intervention correct or not? Bakit ganon? Because probably, let's look at this example. Sa understanding ni Ma'am Lea is punishment yung binibigay niya sa bata. Di ba, Ma'am Lea? Punishment yung binibigay mo. But it's not improving. So probably kay Ma'am Lea, it's a punishment, but for the kid, it's a reinforcement. See, kung mahirap yung, look at the scenario. Mahirap yung lesson, one-on-one, math, mahirap yung lesson, yung bata tayo ng tayo, pagalitan ni Ma'am Lea or palabasin niya sa classroom. By Ma'am Lea doing that, he is allowing the child to escape the difficult task. So to him, that is a reinforcement. To Ma'am Lea, it's a punishment. She thought that she is punishing the child, but to the child, it's a reinforcement. Because pagpagalitan niya ako or palabasin niya ako, I will not do the difficult task. So kita mo yan, Ma'am Lea, kahit anong gawin mo, the behavior will not improve because there is a disconnect between the intervention and the need. Okay? Ma'am Lea, clear? Clear ba yan? Clear?
Yes, ma'am. Clear po.
Okay, si Ma'am Cecilia Arevalo, K. Hindi ko nakita yung K. Any questions po? Okay, so wala. Sana mas maganda pag mabilis yung interaction and then I can see your yung mga sino pa ba yung mga nakita kanina, si Sir kanina. Okay, please ask me questions. If I cannot see yung si Ma'am Rhea na lang can monitor or ilagay niyo sa chat box. Okay? All right. Okay. Thank you, Sir Alvin. Clear po, ma'am. All right. Very good. So now, let's continue. Let's continue. So now, I'm sure naririnig nyo. So probably ABA can address the situation. Yung kanina, no? So, in order for us to apply ABA, then we have to understand it. So what is ABA? So any volunteer, meron kayong idea what an ABA is? Let's make it this interactive para masaya. So meron kayong idea kung ano yung ABA? Okay, so meron yata nag-post. So meron kayong idea? Do you have any idea kung ano yung ABA? Mga taga-Palawan, you have to ask questions para matuto kayo. Kasi in some towns, talagang non-stop yung questions nila. And that's how they learn. Okay? So now, if you ask questions, mag-chat na lang kayo and then I'll just respond. No? Because if I call you and you don't respond, sayang yung oras natin. It'll just go. So I'm sure naririnig nyo ang ABA. So what is ABA? ABA is Applied Behavioral Analysis. So Applied Behavioral Analysis is a scientific approach to the study of behavior. So it focuses on socially significant behavior through systematic assessment and intervention. Okay, let's just analyze that. Scientific approach, meaning it's evidence-based. It's backed by data. Hindi yung akala ko lang, tansya ko lang, baka ganon. No. All your decisions in ABA are data-based. Number two, it focuses on socially significant behavior. What do you mean by socially significant behavior? The behavior is significant to the child, significant to the teacher, or significant to the environment. So if the behavior is not significant, why do you teach it? So one example of significant behavior. For example, tuturuan mo yung bata to wash hands, maghugas ng kamay. So, ang turo mo, okay, wash hands. So, tinuturuan mo yung batang maghugas sa gripo. Kunwari, yung bata is a special child. And then what you did, i-break down mo yung task into smaller components and then tinuruan mo yung bata per component. So this is how to wash your hands. You open the faucet, you turn on the faucet, you wet hands, you soap hands, you rinse hands. So yun yung tinuturo mo. But yun pala yung bata, wala silang faucet. Ang ginagamit nila ay timba at tapo. So is that socially significant? No. Because hindi yan magagamit ng bata sa bahay nila because wala nga silang gripo. So therefore, you have to readjust your intervention or your teaching using yung how to wash hands using a timba and tapo. So now, it's a scientific approach. It's a study of behavior. It focuses on socially significant behavior using a systematic assessment and intervention. To me, assessment is very, very beautiful and it will help you as teachers. Ang laking tulong ng assessment sa akin, no? Sa mga estudyante ko. Because with assessment, you can determine the strengths and the weaknesses of the child. Then pag alam mo na yan, then you can come up with a beautiful intervention, beautiful and effective intervention program. Now, let's go back to the history kasi ang daming nako-confuse, no? Ako-confuse, lalo na yung mga SPED teachers, no? Therapists. Ang sabi sa akin, Teacher Gina, pag meron pang behavior, pag nagturo ka na ng one-on-one, pag one-on-one mo ang bata, is that an ABA? No, that's not an ABA. So let's, first, I'll give you muna a history. It's just very brief. Don't worry. It's a very, very brief history. So hindi ito boring. So ang history, remember, so yung mga psych sa inyo, no? Unang-una, you have to understand that yung behaviorism is one of the theories and philosophies of learning. Kagaya yan ng mentalism. So the traditional psychology ay mentalism. Yun yung traditional. So kukunin natin yung history ha, paano lumabas yung behaviorism. So ang traditional psychology is about mentalism. So ano bang ibig sabihin ng mentalism? An approach to explaining a behavior that assumes that an inner dimension exists and causes behavior. So merong inner dimension sa atin that causes behavior. So ano ibig sabihin ng inner dimension na yon? Yan yung mga conscience, knowledge, I think, I know. So yon, it's a inner dimension. So ang sinasabi ng mentalism, inner dimension exists and that causes the behavior. So yan yung belief ng traditional psychology. And it has been continuously dominated by mentalism. Ang common dito, ang father ng mentalism is Freud. So talk therapy. So through talk therapy. So yon, inner dimension exists. Okay. So no, I will not discuss this now. No, but anyway, sige. So ang mentalism, it's dominated by psychology. Ang belief nila is we have a hypothetical construct. So presume but unobserved entities. Yun na nga. Conscience, you presume, like kunwari si Annalyn Gerbolingo, you presume that she has a conscience. but you cannot see, you don't know. So that is a hypothetical construct. Yun yung belief ng mentalism. So conscience, free will, memory retrieval, information processing. So ang sabi nila, yun yung cause ng behavior. So another one is the explanatory fiction. So it's a fictional variable that is used to explain a behavior, but it contributes nothing. It contributes nothing in understanding the variables of maintaining the behavior. Example, I know, I want, I figure out. Example, Tim is well behaved. He follows his conscience. How do you know? How do you know? Conscience is something that you do not see. So yun yung sa mentalism. So pag meron kayong kaibigan na nag-iistorya ng ano, or nagchichismis, walang basis, pwede mo nang sabihin, that is just an explanatory fiction. Ayan may bago na kayong word. That is just an explanatory fiction. It doesn't contribute anything. And another one is circular reasoning, faulty logic, paulit-ulit lang, sikot-sikot. Now, yan yung theory ng mentalism. Okay, now, ngayon, sabi ni Watson, inano ko na yung mga site dito, medyo medyo na ito, parang naka-compress na yung history natin kasi gusto ko lang mapasok tayo sa behaviorism. So from mentalism, dumating naman itong si Watson. Ang sabi ni Watson, hindi yan. Okay? So ang sabi ni Watson, so si Watson, siyang nag-establish ng methodological behaviorism. So anong sabi ni Watson? Kinontra niya yung mentalism. Sabi ni Watson, methodological behaviorism. So ang behavior should be observable and should be studied scientifically. It should be public behaviors. Okay? So ang ano kasi yung sa mentalism, it's private. So, ang sabi niya, mental states and cognitive processes are not methodological. Okay? So, kilala siya sa Little Albert experiment. So, now, sabi ni Watson, ang behaviors are those that are observable. Now, biglang sabi naman ni Skinner, yung ABA galing na kay Skinner. Sabi naman ni Skinner, hindi. Sabi ni Skinner, hindi. Okay. Pareho. Both public and private events contributes to the behavior. Okay? So, kita nyo, si mentalism, sabi niya, internal lang. Sabi ni methodological behaviorism, external lang. Then sabi ni Skinner, hindi. Pareho yan that contributes to understanding the behavior. Kaya siya tinawag na radical behaviorism. Okay? So, it is called radical behaviorism because it included private events into understanding behavior. So sabi ni Skinner, pareho yan, no? Both the internal and external contributes in understanding behavior. So let's not go that anymore. So now, just review lang kasi gusto ko lang ma-strong yung foundation ninyo. So si Watson, methodological behaviorism. So eto na yung mga ito na yung mga nag-influence. Ito na yung nag-influence sa radical behaviorism. Ang ABA is under radical behaviorism. So, sabi ni, ang nag-influence ay methodological behaviorism kay Watson, Pavlov in classical conditioning, which is the pairing, and Thorndike reinforcement and punishment, and Pearson James, the relationship between ABC. So, lahat yan diyan nanggaling ang ABA. Now, yan yung behaviorism. That's the history of behaviorism. Now, let's go to ABA. Okay, so itong ABA, saan nanggaling itong ABA? So nanggaling ito doon nga sa behaviorism under the radical behaviorism. Now, eto na yung confusion. Ito na yung nang-start ng confusion. Bakit ang daming nako-confuse between ABA and BPP? Now, tinest ni Skinner yung kanyang theories sa mga pigeons, no? Now, nakita nila effective yung theory of behaviorism. Now, dumating si Lovaas at saka si Kegel, tinest nila yung findings ni Skinner sa mga children with autism for the first time. Okay, tinest nila. So, tinest nila yan, and then, ang ginawa nila, nung naging effective yan sa children with autism, tinawag na nila, so akala ng lahat ay ABA na yon. But actually, ang ginamit nila is discrete trial training, yung one-on-one tabletop, using the principles of ABA na yung theory niyan ay galing kay Skinner. Para siyang nag-branding, Ma'am Ria, para siyang nag-branding na, di ba parang noon tayo ang tawag natin lahat ng toothpaste Colgate. Ganyan yung ginawa niya. Parang halos lahat ng intervention, sabi niya na ABA, which is yung gawa niya. In fact, yung ginawa lang nila ay discrete trial training, which is a teaching strategy that uses the principles and theories of ABA. Okay, so yan yung history. I hope you can defend that. Okay, so now, ito yung teaching methods that uses ABA strategy. Direct instruction, DTT, incidental teaching, precision teaching, and personalized system of instruction. But hindi yan yung topic natin ngayon, so I will not go there. But at least alam nyo na yung DTT, yung akala nyo na ABA, is just one of the teaching methods that uses the theories and principles of ABA. Okay, so any questions? Meron yata question? Wala. Okay, good. Applied behavioral analysis. Okay, very good. Yeah, that is applied. So alam niyo na ngayon, applied behavioral analysis is a theory at ang DTT ay teaching strategy. Okay? Now, paano mo sabihin ng isang intervention ay ABA? Okay, this is very important. You can take down notes. There are 7 dimensions. So masasabi mo na yung intervention ay ABA if it has the following components. Okay. So number 1, it's applied. Okay, so tandaan nyo ha, pag wala itong 7 na ito, then it's not ABA. Okay, so applied. Like I said, it's applied. You should be teaching meaningful behavior. Okay, meaningful behavior. Okay, so that's number 1. It's meaningful to the child, it's meaningful to others, and it's meaningful to the environment. Okay, so para kang kunwari teacher ka and then you're teaching a child to put on his or her shoes. Eh wala naman palang paa yung bata. So that is not applied. That is not a socially significant behavior. Number 2, there has to be a behavior. You have to focus on what we can observe and measure. Now, if the behavior is not observable and measurable, mahirap. I'll give you an example of that. Halimbawa, meron kang boyfriend. Pinakilala mo sa magulang mo. Okay? And then yung nanay mo, sabi ng nanay mo, hindi ko gusto yung boyfriend mo. And then sinabi mo sa nanay mo, Nay, gagawin ko siyang maging mabait. Okay, let's look at that. Sabi mo, gagawin mo siyang maging mabait. Hindi ka magiging successful doon. Kaya nga ang daming mga conflicts, no? Yung mga mag-asawa, mag-boyfriend, mag-pamilya, nanay, tatay. They have good intentions, yes. You have a good intention. Sabi mo, gagawin ko siyang maging mabait. And your boyfriend agreed, okay, magpapakabait ako. But both of you, the 3 of you, the mother, you, and the boyfriend, hindi kayo magkakaintindihan because what is mabait? Baka iba yung mabait mo, iba yung mabait sa boyfriend mo, iba yung mabait sa nanay mo. So in order for you to have an effective agreement, no? You have to redefine the behavior into observable and measurable terms. Because mabait is not observable and measurable. So let us redefine mabait. So kunwari, ang gusto ng nanay mo pala, akala niya bastos yung boyfriend mo, tuwing pupunta sa bahay mo, hindi siya bumabati. So you can redefine that. Nice, sige, gawin ko siyang maging mabait, tuwing pupunta siya sa bahay, babatiin niya kayo. Or mag-greet siya ng good morning and good afternoon. See? With that, then you can come up with an intervention and then you can come up with a data because you just, redefine the behavior into observable and measurable terms. Ganon din sa school, no? Before you do anything, like especially pag behaviors, if you want to, yun na nga, pag sabi mo, itong batang ito makulit, or itong batang ito pasaway, then you define what pasaway means. You redefine pasaway or matigas ang ulo into observable and measurable terms, then you address the behavior. Because if you don't, you will never be successful. Mapu-frustrate ka lang. And number 2, the behavior has to be analytic. So ano yung analytic? Anong ibig sabihin ng analytic na yan? There has to be a functional relationship between the behavior and the intervention. Okay, yung improvement or yung change ng behavior mo, ang reason noon ay dapat yung intervention mo. So yan lang yung ibig sabihin niya. And next, it has to be effective. Yung program mo should work. Or if it doesn't work, then you have to change it or you have to recalibrate it. And then generality. Dapat nakaka-generalize ka. So anong ibig sabihin ng generalization? Now, my dear teachers, alam ko nangyayari din ito sa inyo. Halimbawa, merong estudyante si Cheryl Saclet. Okay, tinuruan niya ng ABC, si Ma'am Cheryl. Tinuruan niya yung anak niya yung estudyante niya ng ABC. So yung estudyante niya, ang galing-galing ng ABC. Pero, isang araw, pumunta yung mami, pumunta kay Cheryl. Cheryl, parang hindi mo yata tinuturuan yung anak ko. Hindi siya marunong ng ABC. Of course, nagulat si Cheryl. Sabi niya, hindi ma'am. Cheryl, can you open your video please? Cheryl? Saclet? Cheryl? Okay, where are you? Cheryl, can you see me? Okay. Anyway, you're not there. It's okay. So if you don't ask questions, mabibilis lang tayo ito, mabilis tayong matapos. So I don't know if you are learning or not, no? So anyway, so now generality. So yung bata, sasabihin ni Cheryl, of course, ma'am, bakit sa akin ang galing-galing niya? So sabi ng nanay sa bahay, wala siyang alam. Now, if you analyze that, it's true. Yung bata marunong ng ABC, magaling. But ang problem dyan is wala siyang ability to generalize. So anong ibig kong sabihin ng generalize? The child should be able to perform that skill, no, across people, across setting, and across time. So anong ibig sabihin niyan? Dapat yung bata kung nakaka-ABC kay Cheryl, nakaka-ABC siya sa ibang teachers, nakaka-ABC siya sa nanay at kung saan-saan. Now, kaya nga, alam niyo yun mga teachers, di ba? Meron tayong tinatawag na hierarchy of learning. Meron tayong hierarchy of learning. Number 1 is the skill acquisition. Number 2 is fluency. Number 3, application and adaptation. Now, ang lagi kong sinasabi sa mga teachers ko, huwag kayong tumigil sa mastery. You have to move and check kung meron yung batang generalization. Meaning, kaya niyang mag-perform kahit sinong nandyan at kahit saan. I'm sure sa inyo nangyayari rin yan. Because example, nag-aral kayo for the exam. Nag-aral kayo, totoo, nag-memorize kayo, meron kayong flashcard, meron kayong everything. But during the exam, nag-blackout kayo. Nag-blackout kayo. Because hindi nyo kayang mag-generalize pa. Also in the interview, nag-aral ka, nag-practice ka. Pagdating mo doon sa actual interview, you cannot say anything. Natang-tied ka because yun na nga, it's not that you do not know, kaya lang wala kang ability to generalize. Now, technological. You have to describe your lesson very, very clearly and in a way that other teachers can perform it. When you think of technological, you think of a recipe. Ang recipe is, kunwari, meron kang recipe ng banana cake. Now, kahit sino ang magkaroon ng recipe na yon, pag susundin nila ng maayos, they can make a delicious banana cake. So dapat ganun din ang lesson plan. When you design a lesson plan at absent kayo, any teacher who takes over can perform that lesson with fidelity. And the last one, it has to be conceptually systematic. It has to be evidence-based strategies, meaning it's peer-reviewed and backed up by data. Kasi pag hindi evidence-based yung intervention mo, baka you can do more harm. Okay, so that is the 7 dimensions of APA. Do you have any questions? Any questions? You can type if you have questions, any questions about the 7 dimensions. So tandaan niyo, pag wala yung 7 na yan, then it's not ABA. Okay? Any questions po? Okay, walang questions, then we'll proceed. Now, ang tanong natin ngayon, nasaan kayo as teachers, as service providers? Nasaan kayo doon sa mundo ng ABA? Diba, if you look at your Google Map, meron kang red pin doon. You are here. Ganon. So yan ang gagawin natin. Nasaan kayo sa mundo or sa map ng ABA as service providers or as teachers, as SPED teachers, as therapists. So now, like we discussed, kung meron tayong 7 dimensions of ABA, meron naman tayong 4 dimensions of behaviorism. So we already discussed the history of behaviorism and ABA. So i-connect natin ngayon the behaviorism and ABA. So ang behaviorism, so again, it is a philosophy. It is a philosophy and it is a theory and it is a conceptual analysis. So kumbaga, if you look at the tree, ang behaviorism is the root. So ang root, it examines philosophical, theoretical, and methodological issues. Okay, radical behaviorism, yung kay Skinner, is the underlying philosophy. And all behaviors, sabi niya, covert and overt, meaning public and private, follow the same principles. Di ba siya ang nagsabi, sabi niya, covert and overt behaviors, they both help in understanding the behavior. So now, meron ng philosophy. So merong philosophy. So sabi ni Skinner, the covert and overt behavior, they follow the same principle. So hindi naman pwedeng theory lang yan. You have to test if the theory is valid. So ang ginawa nila, so di ba kayo rin meron kayong theory? Kunwari meron kong theory, kunwari ang theory mo. Mabenta ang ganito sa eskwela. Kunwari, mabenta ang turon sa eskwela. Yun yung theory mo. Mabenta ang turon sa eskwela tuwing 3:00 ng hapon. So yun yung theory mo. So what you do is you test. You test mo nga kung mabenta nga talaga ang turon. Using data. Ano yung data mo doon? Yung pera, yung pinagbentahan mo or yung turon na nabenta mo. So now, tinest ngayon nila yung theory. So, tinest nila sa lab. When you test something in a lab or in a controlled or contrived environment, so yun yung ginawa nila. So yung theory-driven research that focuses on process. So tinest nila yung principles nila. Kung sa tree, yun na yung bark. Okay. Then, na-prove nila, the theory works. Okay, the theory works. So ngayon, sinubukan na nilang i-apply ito outside the lab in a natural setting. So, apply the research and then it applies the principles, theories to solve socially significant problems. And they applied it in a natural environment and it focuses on human and aligns with the 7 dimensions of APA. And they develop technologies for practitioners. Ito na kayo. Mga teachers, therapists, nandito kayo. Fruits, kayo yung fruits. The behavior service delivery. So what you do, yung theories, yung na-test sa lab, you practice it to solve problem for clients. So gagamitin nyo na yon for problem solving. So use the use of technology to address immediate needs of the client in a natural environment. And this is used to address socially valid behavior. And the result focuses on current behavior or setting or remediating symptoms. So nandito kayo. You are the fruits. Kayo yung direct service provider. Okay? So now, when do we teach ABA? When? Kailan? Okay, we can teach ABA if we want our students to develop new skills and see lasting behavior change. So this is very good for, number 1, developing new skills. Number 2, maintaining good behavior. And number 3, decreasing or eliminating unwanted behavior. So how? Who can benefit from ABA? ABA can be used with individuals across lifespan. So kahit sino po pwede yan. And then use ABA anywhere and anytime because behavior occurs anywhere and anytime. And why ABA? Research shows that ABA is highly effective in promoting behavior change across individuals and environment. Yun na nga, it's data-driven. This is data-driven. So like we said, ABA is applied. So, anong klaseng socially significant behavior? So, anything that improves the life of the child. So, you can use it in your social skills program, communication program, daily living self-help, academics, and gross and fine motor skills. So basically, ano yan, sa mga SPED teachers and edu teachers, you can use that in your 7 areas of development. So yan yung ating 7 questions. Pwede mong gamitan yan pwede mong i-incorporate ang ABA. Now, behavior. You have to remember that behavior is a form of communication. Kahit baby, nagko-communicate nila. Baby, umiiyak yung bata, so umiiyak yung baby pag gutom siya. Or basa yung diaper niya, or naiinitan siya, or nilalamig siya. So everything is a form of communication. So kung yung bata nyo sa eskwela nagtatantrums, nagwawala, or umiiyak, or sagot ng sagot, sabat ng sabat, or tayo ng tayo, the child is trying to communicate. The child is trying, do not ignore it. You have to check. So, lahat tandaan nyo yan. Behavior is a form of communication. Kayo rin, minsan nagmamaktol kayo sa bahay. Trying to communicate. Now, everybody, are you taking a video? If you're taking a video, don't kasi nag-echo. And meron tayong privacy act. So, because I don't allow you to take the video because I am discussing mga client cases. And client cases, yung mga cases ng mga clients natin are confidential. So please don't take videos. If you want materials, I can provide you with all the materials, not the video lang because I cannot discuss yung mga cases na pag naka-video. So it's not for me, but I'm just protecting the clients. Okay? So kasi if you listen, you don't need to take the video. Okay? So now, whose behavior do we want to change? First, we have to understand our behavior in order to change theirs. We have to understand our mindset. Ano ba yung mindset natin? So ano yung mindset natin? So kung ang mindset mo is you want to change their behavior, then go ahead. Then kung yung mindset mo, I want to change my behavior, and then you go ahead. Okay? So bastang importante is alam mo yung goal mo. Alam mo yung direction mo, and alam mo kung ano yung ginagawa mo. Okay. So now, like I said, kahit dito sa definition ng behavior, bawat scientists or educators or philosophers or whatever you call them, they also have their own definitions of behavior. Pakita ko lang sa inyo, but we follow the Skinner's definition. So according to Cooper, ang sabi nila, human behavior is everything people do, including how they move, and what they say, think, and feel. So it's basically everything. To them, human behavior is everything. So think and feel, say, both private and public, covert and overt. Now, sabi naman ni Johnston and Penny Packer, they do not consider covert behavior as behaviors because there is no observable and measurable interaction with the environment. So they follow yung kay Watson. Yung isa kanina, kay Skinner. Pero yun na nga, like I said, we follow Skinner because Skinner said, changes in behavior are the result of individuals' response to events or stimuli that occurs in the environment. So, it's a response. Ang behavior natin is a response to the environment. So, kung iisipin mo, totoo nga, we behave the way we behave because we are responding. We are responding to the environment. But tayo, as teachers, sometimes we contribute to the problem behaviors without us realizing. So how do we contribute to the problem behaviors without us realizing? Number one is the inconsistency. Inconsistency ng program. Kunwari, ngayon yung bata, sabihan mo, mamaya hindi, ngayon hindi, mamaya sabihan mo. So mako-confuse yung bata. Tandaan nyo, the success of any intervention program is based on inconsistency. So everything has to be consistent. Number two, disorganized environment. If the environment is disorganized, then pwedeng magkakaroon ng sensory overload yung bata. And another thing, we sometimes misinterpret the behavior. At saka masyadong madaming downtime yung bata. And most of all, sometimes we respond with stress and anxiety. Pag hindi na natin makontrol yung bata, makontrol yung behavior, we respond with stress and anxiety. So, how do we respond positively? Now that we know that we are also the contributing factors to the behavior, so how do we respond positively? Now, remember, all behaviors occur for a reason. So therefore, you should know the function of the behavior. Ituturo ko yan sa inyo. So you should know the function of the behavior. Number 2, you have to identify why behavior occurs. Ito na yung assessment. Dito na papasok yung assessment. And then number 3, you have to apply behavior change program, which is the intervention. So three very important things. You have to know the function of the behavior. For you to be able to know the function of the behavior, you need to do an assessment. And then once the assessment is there, only then you can do your intervention. Because it's difficult to do an intervention without an assessment, which is yan ang ipapakita ko sa inyo mamaya. Now, number 1, before you do anything, you have to identify your target behavior. There's a big difference. A function in identifying the target behavior, you can write this down. You have to know the difference between a function and topography. Now, kunwari yung bata, day 1, let's imagine, grade 1, day 1. Grade 1, day 1. Hinatid ng nanay yung bata sa eskwela, then nagtatantrums yung bata, nagtatantrums. Now, pinatigil mo yung bata, sinubukan mong patigilin, tinawag mo si mommy and everything. Then bukas, ganun na naman, then the following day, ganun na naman. Like what we discussed earlier, pag ganun ng ganun, ibig sabihin nun, yung intervention is not effective. Because why? You only look at the topography of the behavior. What is the topography? Topography is the shape of the behavior. Kung ano yung nakita. Nakita mo lang yung bata ay umiiyak. So, umiiyak yung bata, kailangan patigilin. Patigilin, papasukin siya sa classroom. Kung yan yung naging intervention mo, it is not effective. That is just a band-aid solution because tinignan mo lang yung topography, yung itsura ng behavior. Dapat you go beyond topography. You look at the function. Ano ba yung function? Bakit siya umiiyak? Ano ba yung gusto niya? So anong function niya? Is it attention or mommy that she wants? Is it escape? Ayaw niya sa classroom? Or naiinitan siya sa classroom? Or meron siyang bagay na gusto? Then when you identify the function, then it's so easy for you to come up with an intervention. So now, again, like yung kanin umiiyak, then you have to define. You have to operationally define the behavior. In operationally defining a behavior, you have to define the behavior the way you see it. Hindi yung dictionary definition. It could have been nice if meron tayong exercise, I'll give you a behavior and then you operationally define it. But maybe it's difficult kasi lahat kayo naka-close yung inyong mga screen. So I will just proceed. No? But if anyone wants to try, and then please feel free to, open your video and discuss anything with me. But since you're not opening it, I'll just, go tuloy-tuloy tayo. But I'm telling you, this is not the way to learn. You can only learn if you interact. Okay, so when you operationally define the behavior has to be specific. Number 1, the behavior has to be very, very specific, easy to communicate, simple to measure and record, and it has to be very, very precise. So you can only do that if your behavior is defined very, very clearly. Now you have to remove all the ambiguity. Di ba parang pag nagtithesis kayo, meron kayo operational definition. So again, the operational definition is not the dictionary definition, but it's how you use it, how you see it. Now, this is an example of operational definition. Crying. Like kunwari, may si teacher A, meron siyang batang umiiyak. Then si teacher A, bigla siyang umabsent, no? Then binili niya kay Teacher B. Teacher B, paki-check mo naman yung estudyante kung umiiyak. Then pagbalik ni Teacher A, sabi ni Teacher B, naku tis, hindi naman umiyak. Kaya pala, iba yung definition nila ng iyak. Si Teacher B, ang understanding niya ng iyak pag may luha. Pero kay Teacher A, ang understanding niya ng iyak pag meron whining, face contortion, or complaining to her, yun yung record niya ng crying. Pero si Teacher B, ang crying niya ay may luha. So ngayon, nakita nyo na may disconnect doon. May disconnect because the behavior was not operationally defined. Example, crying. So operational definition, pwede mong, you can be creative with your operational definition. So ang operational definition is the occurrence of vocalization, pwedeng sounds or word, accompanied by facial, so pwedeng accompanied by facial distortion with or without tears for any period of time. See, this is a clearer operational definition. That's why, kaya nga minsan yung mga teachers din hindi nagkakaintindihan because yung behavior is not operationally defined. Hindi malinaw. Okay, so again, another example of operational definition, it's an off-task behavior. So off-task behavior, ibig sabihin nun, engagement in any task other than the assigned task or ongoing activity for more than 2 minutes. So kung yung bata tumulala ng more than 2 minutes, then that is an off-task behavior. Okay, so it's very clear. So you make all your operational definition very clear. Example, disruptive. When you say disruptive, mahirap na naman yan because ano bang ibig sabihin ng disruptive? Ano ba? So you can operationally define that by saying displacing school materials and classmates' things from their original location. See, you can operationally define to make it clear. Now, let's go to the analysis. So alam nyo na kung anong ibig sabihin ng behavior, alam nyo na ibig sabihin ng operationally defining a behavior. Now let's go to the analysis. So what happens when behaviors are addressed without assessment? Ito na yon. Ito na yung sinasabi ko. Merong behaviors, may behavior, dinala sa inyo, o tis pakihawakan mo yan, or tis pakituruan yan. So ikaw naman, nagbigay ka ng intervention mo, but walang assessment. So let's look at it. Let's look at an example. So example, si Juan. Okay. Juan usually gets out of his seat without apparent reason. So tayo lang siya ng tayo sa upuan niya. Or wala siyang destination. So no reason, no destination. Tayo lang siya ng tayo. He stops at his classmates' desk, seats, and looks at them or what they are doing before returning to his own seat. So as a teacher, what will you do? So I would prefer sana if you can respond, no? So as a teacher, what will you do? Any volunteer? Sherlyn Garcia. Sherlyn Garcia. So what will you do? Okay. So Jovi Habagat, what will you do? None. Okay. So now, so what will you do? So usually, now, ginawa mo na lahat yung ginawa mo. But in this scenario, example, hindi mo na kaya, and then pinalabas mo yung bata, it's called time out. Kasi you tried everything and then pinalabas mo yung bata. So to you, it's a punishment. You are hoping that by doing that, the behavior of the child will decrease. Pero ang nangyayari niyan is the behavior is constantly increasing. So meaning yung pagpapalabas mo sa kanya ay hindi effective. Anong nangyayari doon? Anong nangyayari doon? What happened was, yun pala, mas gustong-gusto niya ang lumabas kasi nahihirapan siya doon sa lesson niya. So ito, again, like I said, to you it's a punishment, but to him it's a reinforcement because you are allowing him to escape. So when you allow him to escape, the more he likes it, so the more he will do the behavior. Okay, so now, instead, kung malaman mo, no, in the event that you did an assessment and you found out that the function of the behavior is escape from academic difficulties, so hindi mo siya palabasin. Ito yung solution mo dyan. Number 1 is to break down the lesson into smaller components. And then number 2, you give him easier task. And number 3, you give accommodation by giving him extra time to work on his assignment. Now, see, kung yung function ng behavior ay escape. Let's look at this. Let's look at this same behavior. Same behavior. One usually gets out of his seat without apparent reason or destination. He stops at his classmates' desk or seat and looks at them or what they are doing before returning to his own seat. As a teacher, what will you do? So yung isang teacher naman, yung isa, yung intervention niya is pinalabas. Ito naman, yung intervention niya is sinabihan. So sinabihan na siya.
Ma'am Gina.
Yeah, go ahead po.
Hi ma'am. Merong mga sumagot po sa chat yung tanong po natin kanina kung ano po yung gagawin. Si Sir Romel po sabi niya, I will reprimand him for his action and remind him to focus on his lesson.
Okay. Thank you. Perfect. So we will see Sir Romel and then okay, halos pareho yung sagot nila.
Yes,
sabi ni Sir
opo.
Romel, I will reprimand him. I'll ask him what is his problem and I think of creative ways to get the learner involved by giving him a small task or baby steps. Very good. But look at it. So, yung kanina, yung function ng behavior. Thank you so much, Sir Romel, Sir Lyra, Ma'am Lyra, and Sir Teddy. Thank you. Because pag ganyan, when you interact with me, it fuels me up, you know? It fuels me up to be, ano yun, mas nabubuhay ako, you know? To do the, kasi kung wala, parang it's so difficult to, you know, talk lang na. So, okay. Now, let's look at this. Very good. So, yung kanina, the very first one, ang intervention niya doon is pinapalabas niya. But then, the behavior pala is being reinforced. Let's look at the same. Sir Ma'am Lyra, and then si Sir Romel and Sir Teddy. So, if you look at this, number 2, sinasabihan siya. Yun na nga. So yung sinasabihan niya, the attention is given to the child. But yung bata, instead of the behavior decreasing, nag-i-increase pa rin. Now, kung titignan mo yan, ang function pala ng behavior ng bata is attention. Di ba may mga bata na pagkalitan mo, tapos tatawa yung mga classmates, tuwang-tuwa siya. So uulitin niya yung behavior. So pag pinapagalitan mo yung bata, and then, or you're giving attention, no, by talking, by reprimanding, by talking, think of creative ways to get the learner attention by giving small tasks. Again, these are not the solution because the child wants attention, and by doing that, you are giving the attention. So again, to you akala mo punishment, but to the child is a reinforcement. Diba may mga bata, lalo na yung mga late sila, tapos, oh, late na naman, tapos tuwang-tuwa nila. Kasi pag napapansin sila, feeling rock stars sila. So now, how do you address that behavior? So if the function of the behavior is attention, then you can do a planned ignoring. Huwag mo pansinin. Or number 2, non-contingent reinforcer. So anong ibig sabihin ng non-contingent reinforcer? Uunahan mo siya. Pag nakita mo na siyang behave, wow, si Juan is sitting on his seat. So uunahan mo. Or you give an alternative behavior. Like, kunwari, ano ba yung behavior natin? Tayo ng tayo, no? Getting out of seat. So dito, pwede mong sabihin, Juan, if you want to get out of your seat, please raise your hand. Okay, now, it is very important. That's why it's very important for you to know the function of the behavior. Now, ito yung ituturo ko sa inyo. Kung ma-master nyo ito, and then, so interview his parents to be able to know what is his attitude at home. Yes, papasok na ito, Ma'am Florence, papasok yan dito na sa assessment natin. How to interview the parents. Thank you so much. So now, itong ituturo ko sa inyo. There are only 4 functions of behavior. We behave the way we behave because of these 4 functions. Ito lang yung gusto natin. So when you go home, now I suggest that you listen kasi magagamit nyo ito sa sarili nyo, sa mga boyfriend nyo, sa mga asawa nyo, sa mga anak nyo, sa mga estudyante nyo. Kung nakikita mo na may mga kakaiba silang behaviors, ito lang 4 na ito ang rason. Then pag nakita mo na na-identify mo na kung ano yung function ng behavior na yon, then you can come up with your intervention. So it's up to you. Do you want the behavior to increase or do you want the behavior to decrease? So what I'm saying is you have a control. You have a control. So you can control the behavior. So now you can take this down, write it down, or you can take a photo. There are only 4 functions of behavior. So number 1 is sensory or automatic. So anong ibig sabihin ng sensory or automatic? We behave differently if there is something that we feel. Kung merong masakit. Okay, sir, Ma'am Leila, go ahead po. Ma'am Leila, what's the question po? Ma'am Leila, you're raising your hand.
Baka napindot lang, Ma'am Gina.
Okay. So now, we behave the way we behave if we feel something. Pag merong masakit or mainit or malamig, meron tayong nararamdaman na kakaiba, we behave differently. We do not necessarily talk, but yun na nga, yung ating behavior nag-iiba. So number 1 is sensory. Pag meron kayong nararamdaman na iba. Okay? Di ba sa bahay din or sa asawa natin, sa mga anak natin, pag may masakit, naglalambing tayo or nag-iiba, no? Yung ating behavior. Then number 2 is escape. Pag meron tayong ayaw, pag tinatakasan tayo. Pag ganun din yung mga bata sa eskwela, hindi lang nila masabi pag ayaw nila yung lesson, gusto nilang tumakas. So nag-misbehave sila to escape. So you get away from aversive tasks or things so they escape. So number 1, mga teachers, please. Number 1 is sensory and then escape. And number 2, okay, attention. So attention. So kung nagpapapansin tayo, then we behave differently. So tayo din, di ba? Pag yung asawa natin hindi na tayo pinapansin, so it's either nagdadabog tayo or naglalambing tayo or there are behaviors na may mga behaviors tayo na pinapakita. Attention. And number 4 is access or tangible. Okay, so again, kung meron kang gusto, preferred object. Kunwari kung may papabili ka sa nanay mo, tatay mo, di ba, nagsisipag ka, naglalambing ka because you want something. So now, you look back, tignan mo yung behavior mo nakakaiba kahapon or behavior ng partner mo, behavior ng asawa mo, behavior ng estudyante mo. You check. And then ang sagot lang yan ay isa sa mga yan. And then later on, I will teach you how to do an intervention. Okay? Now, let us see. I'll give you an example. Paano kung hindi mo na identify yung function ng behavior, mali yung understanding mo. Okay? Let's do an example. Hand flapping. Okay? So, hand flapping. Sino yung mga SPED teachers dito? Di ba mga SPED teachers? Okay, so meron tayong hand flapping. So, Ma'am Grace. Hi, Ma'am Grace. It's good to see you, yung face mo. So, stay with me, Ma'am Grace. So, si Ma'am Grace, meron tayong kunwaring hand flapping. Di ba yun yung characteristic po ng children with special need? It's hand flapping, correct? Ma'am Grace? Now, walang right or wrong answer. Walang right or wrong answer. So, kunwari hand flapping. Yung bata mo, hand flapping. Ganyan. Now, ano yung initial reaction mo? Or ano sa palagay mo yung initial reaction, yung nanay, pag nakikita niya, or kahit sino, no, na yung bata ay nag-hand flapping. So, ano yung initial reaction natin doon?
Sa akin po, wala naman po akong special child and wala pa rin po ako naging estudyante ngayon na special child, pero mas maganda rin po na mas advanced na matutunan is especially na nagtuturo po ako ngayon at baka dumating sa point na at least alam ko po kung paano sila i-handle. So kung meron pong may mag-hand flapping po,
ano yung initial?
Actually po, yung akala ko yung anak ko po ay special dahil gumaganon-ganon po siya.
No, that's why we will check. Baka meron. Now we will see it. Good.
Gumaganon-ganon po. Hindi ko sure kung ano po, pero...
So because now you can understand. Very good. So, sige. So now...
Pero ang iniisip ko po kasi...
Anong initial reaction mo pag kunwari yung anak mo nagpa-flat? Di ba ang initial reaction mo is Okay, very good. Sabi ni Ma'am Lay, trying to communicate, the child wants something. So now, very good. So now, kasi ang unang reaction natin dyan is no flapping, di ba? Uy, no flapping, no
Yes
flapping,
po.
no flapping, di ba? Now, very good. So I'm getting, so isa excited, sabi niya, something to the child wants something, Ma'am Glenn, Ma'am Leia. So if you look at it, yung mga sagot niyo, papasok din sa apat lang, no? Kunwari, if you look at kay Ma'am Leia, anong sagot ni Ma'am Leia? Flapping, maybe the child is trying to communicate. So ano yan, Ma'am Leia?
Seeking
Babagsak yan ng
attention.
attention. Okay, ang sabi naman ni Ma'am Gleda, sabi niya, wants something to parents that is tangible. Happy, trying to communicate. So he's happy, attention. Happy,
Want
attention.
something.
Now,
Yes.
okay, see. Now, let's look everybody ha. Ito na. So I'm good. See, kaya nga gusto ko nagpa-participate. Enjoy ako pag nagpa-participate kayo. Kasi, tignan mo yan ha. So dito, in-assume natin na attention. So it won't ask the child, okay, si Sir Teddy, yes, hopefully if the child is verbal. Paano kung non-verbal? Yun yung initial reaction. So, in short, gumawa tayo ng intervention without assessment. So anong intervention natin dyan? No flapping, no flapping, no flapping. Diba? Now, gamitin natin yung sinabi ninyo. Now, what if the child is trying to communicate? Okay? So everybody, you think with me. So what if the child is trying to communicate by flapping? And then sinabi mo, no flapping. So, ibig sabihin nun, when the child is trying to communicate and you said no flapping, so that is equivalent to no communicating. So if you stop the child from flapping, then you stop the child from communicating. So that's why it's very important. So anong gagawin natin? How do we assess that? Pero mamaya, bigyan ko kayo ng structured assessment. Ito lang parang mga examples lang. So paano mo yan gagawin? Una, titignan mo. Okay? Kung yung bata nagfa-flap ba siya ng may pattern o wala. Okay. The child may feel trapped because communication is cut. Yes, exactly. So now pwede ring afraid. So let's all go. So kunwari, titignan mo. So let's do an analysis. So kunwari, yung bata nagpa-flap na ganyan, titignan mo. Nagpa-flap ba siya ng may pattern? Ibig sabihin ng every 10 minutes? Or nagpa-flap siya occasionally lang? Minsan hindi siya nagpa-flap, then later on nagpa-flap. Okay, may trigger. May trigger, may rason kaya siya nagpa-flap. Now, kung yung bata nagpa-flap na occasionally, then ibig sabihin nun that child is trying to communicate. Maaring masaya siya, or maaring malungkot, maaring galit siya. Now we're talking of the non-verbal. So obviously, the child needs attention and the child needs you to talk to him. Ngayon, if that is the function and you ask the child to stop from flapping, then yun na nga, you stop the child from communicating. You're cutting him off. So that is the first part. Number 2, pero may isang senaryo. Yung unang senaryo kasi natin, nagpa-flap yung bata na walang pattern. Now, second scenario, paano naman kung bata nagpa-flap every 10 minutes kahit walang rason? Okay, so Leia, di ba may cases na gano'n? Yung una kasi, walang pattern, nagpa-flap siya. So ibig sabihin, pag masaya siya. Next, paano naman, you can put in the chat box, paano naman kung yung bata every 10 minutes or every 5 minutes nagpa-flap? Walang rason. Okay, sabi ni Ma'am Sharon, serious attention is needed. Now, let's see. So, yon. So, nakita mo, nagpa-flap every 2 minutes or every 2 minutes or may pattern. Okay, so something is terribly wrong. Now, si Ma'am Rosel and Ma'am Arlene, yeah, okay. Now, when you do your analysis, go back. You go back. So Ma'am Arlene, Ma'am Rose, and Rosalie, and all of you, you go back to your functions of the behavior. Go back. You go back and see. So ano sa palagay nyo? So, hindi na yun attention. Kasi pag attention yan, walang pattern. So hindi na yan attention. Kasi na-identify mo na yon na hindi attention ang gusto. Kasi walang rason gumaganyan siya. Walang rason, gumaganyan siya. So you know that it's no longer attention. So guess, ano yung function ng behavior na yon? So guess, sino? Okay, so ano yung ano? Ano yung sagot? Alin sa function? You guess from the function. So you know that very good. Sir Romel Topas and Sir Ian now is automatic or sensory. Now, alam mo na ngayon, that's why again, may iba dito, maybe something is wrong, something is ano. No, you have to do your assessment. Do not presume. Do not presume. Probably, pwede rin yung bata may Tourette or may tic. Now, okay, so let's go back muna. So now, na-identify mo na it's sensory. Sensory, obviously, because every 10 minutes, every 5. So, meaning he's stimulating his senses. It is something that he likes. So, he does that. So now, again, so na-identify mo na sensory. So, anong gagawin mo? Anong intervention mo pag sensory? Anong gagawin mo pag na-identify mo ng sensory? Ma'am Grace, kunwari na-identify mo na, hula lang. Pag na-identify mo na sensory, anyone can type. So what will you do? Yung isa is you try to, di ba yung una, yung sa attention, try to talk to him, alternative behavior, you give him, like kunwari, okay, if you want something from mommy, if you want attention, don't do this. Tap mommy's shoulder. Parang ganon, no? So now, pag sensory, you just don't do an intervention again right away. You have to check. Saan ba nagfa-flap yung bata? Dito, o kung saan-saan. Diba? May mga ibang bata kasi mga autistic, may iba ganyan mag-flap. May iba dito, may iba kung saan-saan. So pag yung bata dito nagfa-flap, then ibig sabihin nun, you need to design your intervention based on visual senses. Kasi ganun So yung mata niyang ini-stimulate niya. Pag dito naman, it's auditory. Kung saan-saan, it's proprioceptive. Di ba kayo rin pag nangangalay yung paa nyo, nakala mo hindi na nakakonekta sa katawan mo, igaganon mo. Or yung kamay mo napagod ka na sa kasusulat, feeling mo wala ng dugo, gaganon mo din. So ano yon Grace? Sensory, right? Leia, that's sensory. Cecilia, that's sensory. That's why you do that because it's sensory. You need to feel that your arm is still connected to your body. So ganon din sa kanila. So now you need to check. Ganon. Kasi kung ganon, then the vision. Ganon. So, kikita nyo na yan. Kasi, ang daling magkamali. Ang daling magkamali. Kung sinasabi mong no flapping or don't do this, yun pala, it's communication that he wants. Now, ang tinutumbok ko lang is, bago tayo pumasok sa assessment. Now, another example. Good. I want you to participate. Good. Kailangan lang pala magpa-flap ako para magising kayo, no? So, now, next. Another example. Let the child have something to touch or feel in order to address. No, this is not the solution po. Because you can do that. You let the child have something to touch or feel with in order to address his or sensory needs. No, because hindi kahit na meron siyang itatas or gaganon pa rin siya. It doesn't address the solution. It doesn't address the problem. So you have to understand. Now, ngayon, kung sinasabi mong have something the child touch, kung yung issue ng bata nga, like kunwari yung issue, pwede siguro yung meron kang itatouch, kung yung issue ng bata ay proprioceptive. Yung sabi ko na feeling niya hindi nakakabit yung kamay niya sa So instead of doing that, pwede mo siyang bigyan ng squeeze ball. Like gano'n niya. It has the same function. You can do that. Okay? Yeah. Thank you, Ma'am Raisa. So, yon. Kita mo? So, yon ang tinatawag mo doon ay, okay, it's a technical term, but it's not kasi assessment. But ang intervention na yon, bigyan ko ng squeeze ball. Ang tawag nila doon is an alternative behavior. So, instead na magganan siya, binigyan mo siya ng alternative behavior. So, nice. Now, I'll give you another example. Ito, nagkamali yung therapist. Okay, nagkamali yung Teka ha. Nakikita niyo ba? I'll do the stop share muna. This one, nagkamali yung therapist or yung teacher. Now, I want you to listen because para hindi ito mangyari sa inyo. Okay, merong isang bata, isang kid, okay? 6 months na siyang nagte-therapy, hindi nila ma-address yung behavior. Now, ang ginagawa ng bata is yung fingers niya, kinukuskus niya sa pader. Okay, kinukuskus niya yung fingers niya to the point na yung bata hindi na niya kailangan mag-cut ng ano, hindi na niya kailangan mag-cut ng fingernails kasi napupudpud sa kagaganon. Okay? So so anong tingin nyo doon? Initial. So kunwari ganon. Anybody, so kunwari kinukuskus niya ganyan yung kamay niya. So access. So sabi ni Ma'am Sara, it's access. Who else? Doon sa 4 functions. Go. So ngayon, alam nyo na. So it's so easy. No, frustration. Again, if it's frustration, that's okay. It's use the 4 ano lang. Kasi ang dali na sa inyo ngayon mag-assess because you already have. So tangible, access. Now, boredom. Again, boredom, you have to define your behaviors into observable and measurable term. Frustrated. What is frustrated? So, escape, escape, escape. That could be probably escape, could be probably escape, could be probably access, could be probably tangible. But we have to check. Based on that, so gamitin natin yung kaso ko, yung kaso na yon. I mean, could be anything, but we will try to assess. So before you can say kasi it's escape, it's tangible, it's sensory, you have to assess. So based on the assessment, so ito yung scenario. So dinala sa akin yung bata, sabi sa akin, okay, yung batang yan, ang sabi sa akin ng therapist niya, ang issue ng batang yan is tactile. So it's sensory, it's tactile. Okay, so yan yung sabi ng therapist. So ano yung initial na gagawin mo dyan? I-check mo kung tactile yon. So kung tactile yon, i-check mo yung ilalim ng fingers niya. Kasi kung tactile yon, di ba ang tactile is sense of feel. So if i-feel niya ngayon yung pader, i-feel niya. Pero nung sinuot yung ilalim ng, kaya lang ang tagal na hindi nila na-address. So ibig sabihin nun, something is wrong with the intervention. So when I check yung ilalim ng fingers niya, ang lambot. So dapat kung tactile yan, puro kalyo na yan. Kasi kinukuskus niya yan because he likes the feel. Tama, Grace? Ha? So pag kinukuskus niya yan. So ibig sabihin nun mali because they are doing an intervention based on tactile. So hindi pala. So again, I did an assessment. So, ang ginawa ko, pinakuskus ko siya sa iba-ibang surfaces. Sa wall, sa semento, sa carpet, kung saan-saan. Then I realized, based on that assessment, na ang gusto niyang pagkuskusan lang nung kanyang kuko, yung may tunog. Yung may tunog. So kung ikuskus mo sa walang tunog, ayaw niya. So anong ibig sabihin yon, Leia? So anong ibig sabihin yan? Based on what ano? So based on doon sa nakita mo.
Tingin ko po mas nag-i-enjoy po yung bata kapag nafe-feel niya yung surface na meron pong tunog.
Correct. So therefore, na-identify mo na sensory yung issue. So what kind of sense? Anong bahagi ng sense niya ang kanyang ini-stimulate? Yeah, correct. Certainly, the child likes the sound. Therefore, he's trying to stimulate himself auditorily, yung tenga niya. See, nakita niyo yung mali doon? Ini-intervention yung bata ng tactile, pero ang issue pala niya ay auditory. So kahit milyon ang magastos mo, kahit gaano ka kagaling na teacher, pag hindi mag-match yung intervention mo at saka yung need ng bata, sayang yung pagod mo. So nakikita nyo na yung beauty ng assessment. So na-identify mo na. Kasi look at that. So yung bata is nag-i-scratch nang walang reason and may pattern na kasi madalas siyang nagkukuskus na ganyan. And then ang laki ng nagastos, imagine mo yung gastos ng magulang yon. Nagte-therapy ka, tactile. Hindi pala tactile. Hindi pala tactile yung issue niya. Now, I'll give you a case, another case na tactile naman. It's another case na tactile. Bata, 28, mama, 28 years old. Nagte-therapy siya mula 2 years old. Ang issue niya ayaw magdamit. Ayaw magdamit, nakakalungkot kasi hubot-hubad siya, 28. No, siyempre, di ba, Ma'am Ria, pag anak mo yun, ang sakit sa dibdib. To the point na yung parents, binili na siya ng sarili niyang kondo. At yung kondo niya, walang laman. Ayaw niya anything. Ang laman lang ng kondo niya is isang, alam mo yun, yung monoblock. Yung monoblock na upuan. Now, dahil siyempre ayaw niyang magdamit, hubot-hubad siya, naaburido siya sa bahay. So ang pastime niya, kukuha ng lapis, saksakin niya yung ulo na yung ganyan hanggang dumugo. Okay? So, ngayon, ilang years yan na tinerapi, hindi nila makuha. Alam nila na ayaw niyang magdamit. So based on that, again, alam mo na naman ang kanyang issue is tactile kasi ayaw niya niyang feel ng damit. So how do you address that issue? To address that issue, dapat makahanap ka ng any material at least na matolerate ng katawan niya. Kasi ang feeling daw niya parang nahihiwa yung katawan niya. Pag nakasuot ng damit, nahihiwa. So ngayon, ano yung ano diyan? Ano yung assessment mo diyan? First, i-check mo. Kukuha ka ng iba-ibang material, ididikit mo sa damit sa katawan niya. Kasi makikita mo pag dinikit mo at ayaw niya, pipit lang siya. Non-verbal ito pipit lang siya. So hanggang eventually, nakahanap kami ng material that he can tolerate. Ano yon? Franela. Alam niyo ang franela? Okay, correct. Sir Teddy, fabric check preference. Very good. It's called the preference assessment. You are very good, Sir Teddy. Thank you. You did the preference assessment. So there's a preference assessment. So kuha ka ng iba-ibang tela, iganyan mo. Sir Teddy, iganyan mo. Ganyan mo sa katawan niya. Then yun nga, franela. Nakita namin franela kaya niya. So we asked the mom, sige magpatahi ka ng franela na shorts and t-shirt. Alam mo yun, yung parang pajama style na para lang mailabas. So natahid na ngayon ang franela. Pagsuot ang franela, ayaw na naman niya. Why? So we had to check again. Yun pala, ayaw niya yung garter. Hindi niya matolerate yung garter. So what we did, kumuha muna kami ng yung kumot sa Baguio. Alam mo yun, yung kumot, yung parang franela, butasan mo sa ulo, shoot mo just to cover him. So yun lang, para lang mailabas siya. Then while doing that, again, yung sabi nga ni Sir Teddy, tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung preference assessment. Ano pa ang kaya niyang matolerate? So and then at the same time, yung mga medyo kaya niya, i-desensitize mo na siya. Desensitize meaning ganyan-ganyan mo, pakunti-kunti, hanggang medyo didiin-diinan mo na. So eventually, nakahanap kami and we were able to desensitize him. Nakapagsuot na siya ng, itong alternate fabric, Sir Ronald, correct. Very, very correct po. But you have to check, no? Ano yung alternate fabric that he can tolerate. And that's what we did. Check ka, iba-iba. Then yun na nga, na-tolerate niya yung jersey. So at least, mas appropriate na yung sa franela. So ngayon, nakakalabas na siya, pero lahat ng damit niya ay jersey. Pero hanggang ngayon, hindi pa rin niya matolerate ang franela. Okay? So, before we go into assessment, Ma'am Rhea, hanggang anong oras po ako?
4, Ma'am Gina, 4.
Okay, si Ma'am Raisa, may erase daw siyang situation. Ma'am Raisa, go ahead po. Ma'am Raisa, go ahead po. Meron po akong pupil na randomly pag siya nanggigigil. Yes, yun na nga, yung nanggigigil siya, ma'am, yan na yung kanyang form of expression. So trying to communicate. You see, if you look at this, Ma'am Raisa, nanggigigil lang siya kapag masaya. So if you look at this, kapag masaya nanggigigil, then the child is trying to communicate. Pero kung every 5 minutes nanggigigil na walang rason, then it's sensory. Now, I'll give you one example before we proceed with yung totoong assessment na. Isang example. Okay, this one you can all relate. Isang bata, I think he was grade 1 or grade 2, I don't remember. Dinala sa akin 5 or 6 years ago. So sabi sa akin ng teacher niya, Gina, hindi na namin kaya. Ginawa na namin lahat, hindi namin kaya. So ang ginagawa niya, every time natuturuan yung bata, every time natuturuan siya sa klase, lahat ng laman ng kanyang desk. Ano na bang gamit ngayon sa public school is the desk? Desk pa rin o ano? Yung desk o ano? So anyway, lahat ng materials na nilalagay niya sa desk or table or whatever, desk, thank you, Leia, binabalibag niya. Nabalibag ng bata. So kahit anong ilagay mo doon sa desk niya, so hindi na kaya ng teacher. Sabi ng teacher, parang ADHD yata or merong intellectual disability, hindi ko na kaya, suko na ako. So nakailang teachers na yan, nakailang schools na yan. So gusto na nilang i-kick out yung bata. And then dinala sa akin yung bata. And I assess the child. So when I assess the child, ang talino pala. ng bata. Now, ano yung problema? Bakit ganon? Now, ang problema pala doon ay alam niya na matalino siya at nalagay sa utak niya na pag matalino ka, you're not supposed to ask.
Yan na nga.
So, pag matalino ka, you're not supposed to ask questions. So, yun ang nalagay sa isip niya. So, ngayon, yun pala, no, fixation is different thing, Sir Teddy, because fixation, I'll tell you, remind me about fixation. I'll tell you about fixation later. This is not fixation. So ang nakalagay sa utak niya is, oh, I'm smart, I'm not supposed to ask questions. Paano ko nalaman yan? Okay, during assessment, bigyan ko siya ng madaling activity kaya niya. Pag mahirap, ibabalibag niya. Pero hindi siya aalis. Pagkabalibag niya ng mga gamit, uupo siya. Therefore, it is not escape. Okay? Therefore, it is not escape. Because pagkabalibag niya, uupo, then tahimik siya. Then I realized na yun na nga. Ang understanding niya is he's not supposed to ask for help. So ang intervention ko dyan, hindi ko tinuro na you're supposed to ask for help if you don't know. Hindi, kasi kukontrahin mo lang yan. So ang ginawa ko, tuloy-tuloy ang lesson, pero during the course of the lesson, ako yung hingi ng tulong sa kanya. Ako yung humingi-hingi ng tulong. And then during that session, na-realize niya, oy, si teacher nag-a-ask ng help, therefore it's okay to ask for help. Nung na-internalize na niya yan, nakuha na niya na pwede, then that's the only time na tinuro ko sa kanya kung anong ibig sabihin ng help. So that's how you do it. You smooth yung transition. And as a teacher, pag ganyan ang kaso nyo, number one rule is you make yourself as a reinforcer. Kasi pag kukontrahin mo na, umpisa pa lang, no, you should do this, you should do that. Hindi talaga. Mas magiging aversive yung sitwasyon, lalong i-escape siya sa'yo. So see, nakita mo yon. Wag mong yun yung tinatawag nilang child-centered. Okay, so yun. So ayan yung beauty ngayon ng Now, may question kanina si Sir Teddy about territorial or fixation. Now, sinabi niya, ano po ang gagawin sa bata kapag may sinabi or nagkwento tapos laging may opinion na yes or no? Now, ito, ibang cases na yan, baka ma'am ha, I'm not sure yet, that's why we need assessment. Meron kasing mga bata na kung very strict na yes or no, it's either baka obsessive compulsive yan, or kung puro no naman, obsessive defiant disorder. That's why we need assessment. Ma'am, may tanong lang po kami, si Ma'am Angelita Marquez, na discover na auditory ang problem ng bata. Ano po ang possible solution na dapat gawin ng isang teacher? Now, when it's auditory po, Ma'am Angelita, when the problem is auditory, there are usually may tatlong kinds ng auditory issue. Okay. Pero ang pinakamaganda yan is ipa-check mo nga sa doktor kung ano yung issue niya. But usually, tatlo po ang issue niyan. Number one, it's either the kid is hypersensitive. Hypersensitive is lahat naririnig niya. May mga cases ako, believe it or not, sabi niya sa akin, teacher, I can hear the grass grow. That's why kailangan niyang takpan yung tenga niya or kailangan niyang iganon para ma-block niya yung sound ng ano. May iba akong case din na pag andarin mo ang kotse, sasabihin niya kung anong model yung kotse. Sasabihin niya Honda, Toyota, or ganon. Now, so pwede siyang hypersensitive, pero namang hyposensitive. Ang hyposensitive yung parang yung bingi na, yung wala ka nang marinig. That is hyposensitive. And then may isa, karamihan ng special kid, yun yung issue nila, hyperacusis ang tawag. Ang ibig sabihin nun, hindi siya Ma'am Angelita, hindi siya sa volume ng voice may sensitivity, kundi sound specific. Maaring yung tunog ng electric fan, maaring tunog ng yung kutsara, tunog ng boses ko, tunog ng relo. So it is sound specific, and that is very, very difficult to identify ko. Kaya ang ginagawa na lang ng mga batang may hyperacusis, gumagamit na lang sila ng noise cancellation device. Kasi hindi mo ma-identify like kunwari, nasa isang room. Kaya nakikita nyo minsan, may mga bata pagpapasok sa mall, nagtatantrum sila ng walang reason. It's because diyan, meron silang sensitivity probably doon sa tenga nila or yung mata sa dami ng ilaw or yung temperature. That's why you have to check. Kaya nga, kung yung bata, again, nasa mall kayo, nag-tantrum yung bata, then the kid is trying to communicate. So, wag nyo kaagad sabihin, mag-behave ka nga, ganyan. You have to check, bakit, why. So, yun yung sinasabi ko. You have to go beyond the topography of the behavior and you check the function. Ano yung function? Okay? Now, yung fixation, I'll answer that fixation. Yung fixation, iba naman yung fixation. Usually, ang fixation, makikita mo yan sa reading. Now, another case, may pumunta sa akin, high school. No? High school kid ito. Now, pumunta sa akin yung bata na yon kasi magaling siya. Okay, ang lesson nila is Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet. He's okay. Now, with pag sa exam, magaling siya. Multiple choice, matching type, blah, 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 alam niya. Pero pagdating sa essay, wala na siyang isulat. Gustong isulat kundi yung death ni Romeo and Juliet. Yon ang fixation. Fixate na siya doon, yun na nang yun, umiikot na siya. So that's why, my dear teachers, pag meron kayong mga reading lesson sa mga estudyante nyo, ang gagawin nyo sa reading, you have to check, number 1, kung yung bata can read. Number 2, kung merong comprehension. Number 3, merong retention. And number 4, kung merong fixation. Kasi minsan akala mo ang galing-galing ng akala mo ang galing-galing nung bata, yun pala fixated siya. Now, ang fixation, Sir Teddy, is very, very tricky and dangerous to address. Another case, isang bata, ang galing-galing niyang mag-drawing. Autistic ito, talagang it's a textbook case na autistic. So, the drawing, ang galing-galing niyang mag-drawing ng manga cartoons, no? Yung manga, yung mga Japanese cartoons. And then, of course, as a teacher, i-encourage mo yon, di ba? I-encourage mo yon. So, in-encourage yun. Kaso, because nag-start yun as interest. Then, naging interest niya, from interest, in-encourage, naging passion. Then, naging fixation. Wala na siyang gustong gawin, kundi mag-drawing lang ng manga cartoons. Kahit saan siya magpunta, bit-bit yung kanyang papel and lapis. Tapos, worst, after ng fixation, akala na niya siya manga cartoon na. So that's why ang fixation, you have to tignan mo rin makikita mo rin kung obsessive na yung bata sa isang interest, then you have to moderate it. Kasi imo-moderate mo kasi baka umabot. Kasi ang nangyari, nakakatakot, ang hirap nang i-undo yun. Akala na niya manga cartoon siya. So ang hirap. So that's why when you also encourage something, you see to it na hindi sila aabot sa fixation. Sir Teddy, yun po yun. So may si Ma'am Rosalie, hello po ma'am, ang situation po ng isang pupil ko ay non-stop sa pagkukwento. Kapag kinakausap ko, need niya mag-stop kasi magklase kami, ang gagawin niya ay titigil naman po pero kasunod po noon ay mananakit na siya sa kaklase, sisigaw, matagal at ayaw gumawa ng kahit anong activity through the day po. Now, if you look at it, now, talking na yan. Now, probably din yan, Ma'am Rosalie, i-check mo. Baka rin it's a self-stimulatory behavior. Because talking din. So, yun yung ang dami nating pwedeng i-discuss. Actually, ang dami-dami nating na mga cases na pwedeng i-discuss. No? But siguro we'll finish this muna and then you can ask all your questions sa end para mas maganda yung understanding nyo. No? We will finish this. So, now, kaya tignan nyo, ang ganda pag nagtatanong kayo. Beautiful pag nagtatanong kayo. Teka, share. Cancel. So, naka-screen share na ba ako? Basic. So, I'll do screen share. So,
Not yet, Ma'am Jean.
so, sige. So, now, so, eto na tayo. Now, we will go to the assessment. Kasi binigay ko lang sa inyo kanina, mga overview lang ng assessment. So, we will go. So, ano ang assessment? Now, listen teachers, kasi ito, you can do this. Pwede nyo na itong gawin sa inyo. So, kasi ang ginawa ko, madaming klaseng assessment. So, ang ibibigay ko lang sa inyo, yung assessment na kaya nyong gawin na, yung hindi mo kailangan ng specific training. Now, assessment. So, what is assessment? Ang assessment should be comprehensive and individualized. Yung ginamit mong assessment kay A, student A, hindi mo pwedeng gamitin kay student B. So, it has to be individualized. And ang assessment, it helps you develop and validate the hypothesis. So example, ano yung hypothesis natin? Kunwari, ang hypothesis natin nung una is, okay, the child is flapping because he is stimulating himself auditorily. Okay, so yun yung hypothesis mo. Now you validate that hypothesis through assessment. Kasi lahat ng ginawa natin kanina is puro, ano lang yon, puro hypothesis lang yon. So we have to validate that. Okay, so ito na yung assessment natin. So yan. So then, like I said, you have to look beyond the form of the behavior. You check the function. So ano yung function? Yun yung 4. No, ngayon, manggagaling nyo na, alam nyo na yung 4 na function ng behavior nyo. Pero pag uwi nyo, wag naman na, oy, ang function ng behavior mo, sensory. Oy, ang function ng behavior mo, escape. Marami akong estudyante na ganyan. Pagdating, hi, darling, ha? Wag kang ganyan. You're escaping me. Oh, oy, darling, ha? You need my attention. That's why you're doing that. So, wag ganun. Ano yun? Quiet lang. Para kayo lang nakakakontrol sa asawa niyo. Quiet lang, ganun. Parang ako, quiet lang. Hindi niya alam hindi niya alam bine-behavior analysis ko na siya. Okay? So, wait lang ha. Wait lang. One minute lang ha. So, okay. So now, so you have to check. So you have to check, you have to go beyond the form and you check the function. So alam nyo na ngayon yung function. 4 lang yan. So very, very easy. Now, the important thing is you have to collect data. Kasi without data, meron akong class ngayon na about data. Ngayon, tuwang-tuwa na sila kasi with data, mas madali na yung trabaho nila. Instead of writing narrative, they just collect data and graph the data and show it to the parents. And the parents, they like it even more kasi mas nakikita nila. Kasi nakikita mo na visually yung result. Hindi ka na kailangan magpasa. So collect data. And then, yung data na collect mo, and then you have to interpret and use the information. So, kasi ako, especially sa ABA, everything that I do, lahat ng decision ko ay database. Hindi yung galing sa akin, pakiramdam ko, akala ko, feel ko, no. I have to go back and check my data. So pag na-check ko yung data, then I make my decision based on that data. So, when to conduct assessment? So pag ng behavior na is disruptive, pag behavior interferes with learning, and the behavior interferes with learning of others, then you can do an assessment. So who can conduct an assessment? Even you. Kasi may mga assessment kasi, okay, listen, may mga assessment na pwede nyong gawin. May mga assessment naman na kailangan mo yung license. May mga assessment naman na kailangan mong standardize. So ang tinuturo ko sa inyo ay informal skills assessment. So assessment that you can do. Okay? So okay. So yun yung yun yung assessment. You can do an assessment. Now, question. I think itong question. Is assessment only for student with special needs? No. Anybody. Like I said, kahit asawa nyo, mga mahal nyo sa buhay, pwede nyo i-assess. Now, meron lang akong isang i-correct. Now, syempre, Sir Teddy, go ahead po. Sir Teddy, pakita mo naman yung pogi face mo. Para mas Go ahead po, Sir Teddy.
Hello, Ma'am Gina.
Hello po. Good to see you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Ma'am, I personally think assessment should also apply to students without special needs po, because it might be the key of finding out if they belong to the students with special need group.
Yes, correct po. Very correct. So now, all of you, thank you, Sir Teddy. So kayo, everything starts with a suspicion. Pag may suspetsyahan na kayo nakakaiba, then you can tell the parents, you can tell your principal, and then you can suggest an assessment. Hindi ko lang kasi alam kung anong batas sa Pilipinas, pero sa ibang bansa kasi, you cannot do an assessment without a written permission from the parents. So I don't know lang dito kasi, but I think dito, you just tell your supervisor or coordinate with the parent, no, to protect yourself. So ngayon, is assessment only for student with special need? No. Yun nga, certificate pwede sa general education, pwede sa section 504 plan and i.LEAD. There is something I want to discuss. Ma'am Rhea, if you allow me, just 2 minutes because I want to discuss about yung IEP. Hindi ito covered but I want to discuss lang kasi lately kasi Ma'am Rhea, ang dami kong misconceptions about IEP sa Pilipinas. So, now, ang IEP, just ano lang ito para lang FYI nyo lang. Ang IEP, saan ba galing ang IEP? Okay, any idea, Ma'am Cecil? Ma'am Cecil Arevalo, alam niyo ba kung saan ang galing yung IEP? Sino yung mga SPED teachers dito? Unmute po. Kung hindi niyo alam, that's okay. You tell me and then I'm here to give you an idea about it. Ma'am Cecil? So okay. So anyway, I'm sure naririnig niyo ang IEP. Ma'am Rhea, di ba? Mga IEP, di ba laging ano yan? So naririnig natin ang IEP. Now, syempre may sarili tayong, sa Pilipinas may sarili tayong interpretation ng IEP. But I want to give you the correct interpretation of IEP, kung saan ito nanggaling. No? Kung saan, ano yung history ng IEP. But sa atin, syempre, may konti ng ano yan, deviation. So ang IEP, galing yan sa IDEA. Galing yan sa IDEA. Kasi doon sa IDEA, O4, it's a batas yan sa Amerika. Ang ibig sabihin nun ay free access, no? Free, free public appropriate access to education under least restrictive environment. So, free access to appropriate education under. Okay, so now, ito na nag-umpisa. Ang inclusion. It's an inclusion. So, IDEA is basically an inclusion. Sa Pilipinas, ano yung understanding natin ng inclusion? Ito ha, ang nakikita ko lang, hindi ko sinasabing kayo, but kadalasan ng nakikita ko kasi Ma'am Rhea, ang understanding nila ng inclusion is pag hinalo mo yung SPED sa Gen Ed, that is inclusion. Correct, Ma'am Rhea? Everybody, am I correct na yun yung understanding? Kasi, yun. So, ang kadalasan ng understanding natin sa Pilipinas is pag hinalo mo yung SPED sa Gen Ed, that is inclusion. No, because by doing that, ini-include mo lang sila in terms of yung location, yung place, yung classroom. That is not the correct definition of inclusion. Inclusion is, kulang yung understanding natin. Kasi ang based on sa sinabi ko, ang definition is inclusion is an access to general education. But kulang yon. Ito yung correct definition. You are not accessing the general education. What you are accessing is the general education curriculum. It's not the classroom. Kasi ang intindi natin is i-mix mo. No, it's an access to general education curriculum. And under that, okay, now, dito sa atin kasi, Ma'am Rhea, correct me if I'm wrong, dito kasi sa atin, yung IEP, ang gumagawa yan is yung eskwela at saka yung teacher. Tama? Or yung SPED teacher or yung SPED. Now, ang dapat yan, ang IEP, kasi sa Amerika yan galing, so I will use the American law. Ang IEP kasi sa Amerika ay it's a legal document. It's a legal document, nagawa yan ng eskwela with the whole team. But once na nagawa na yan and approved, you cannot just alter that. Hindi mo pwedeng baguhin. Pag baguhin mo ang IEP, kailangan nyo ng meeting at kailangan nyo ipa-approve ulit yan because it's a legal document. Now, dito sa atin sa Pilipinas, ang alam lang natin is the IEP. Correct? Am I correct? And then remember, merong 4 na klase ang IEP. Okay, so sa atin kasi parang catch-all definition. Ma'am Rhea, am I correct? No? Parang it's a catch-all definition. Lahat ng tawag natin ay IEP. Now, there are 4 kinds of IEP. Again, sinasabi na hindi ko alam kung ano yung mandato ng DepEd, but I'm just telling you the history. Okay? So, meron 4 na klase ng IEP. Number 1, ito yung IEP para sa mga hindi pa school age na bata. From 0, ano bang school age natin? 6 or 5? So, ito, from 0 to 5, hindi IEP ang tawag doon. Family Life Support Plan, FLSP. And then pag yung bata ay school age from 5 to 16, that is the IEP. And then pag yung bata above 16, it is called IEP transition. Okay, you only use IEP sa mga academic program ng bata. Now, yung pang-apat, pag yung bata ay meron pang behavioral problem on top of the IEP, it's called BIP. It's Behavior Intervention Plan. Okay, so everybody, clear yon? So number 1, ang inclusion is access to general education curriculum, not access to classroom. General education curriculum. And then IEP, meron tayong 4 na IEP, Family Life Support Plan, IEP, IEP Transition, and BIP. Okay? So, for whatever, kung ano man yung purpose na yon ng natin, basta yon. So, bahala ka na kayo kung paano gamitin paano nyo gamitin, but yun yung ating yun yung pinanggalingan. Now, kung dito, kung lahat gamit nyo ng IEP lahat, that's okay kung yun yung practice. But that is the correct, let me just charge na. So, that is the correct, that is the supposedly correct interpretation. Okay? So, now, may question dito. So, sige. Yes po. Thank you, Ma'am Sheena. Permission to go and... Okay.
Parang kasi ito. Kasi lubat pa.
So, let's go now. Let's go. Tutuloy na tayo. Now, so again, so meron tayong iba-ibang klase ng assessment, di ba, sa eskwela. Sa Gen Ed, you have the formative assessment. I will not explain this anymore because you all know this. You have the summative and you have the evaluative assessment. If the child did not meet the criteria of your formative, summative, and evaluative assessment, then you recommend for a diagnostic assessment. Okay, so now, ito na ang functional behavioral assessment natin. So how do you do? So, teachers dito, there are 3 steps of functional behavioral assessment. Indirect method, naturalistic or direct method, and experimental analysis. Itong experimental analysis, I don't recommend this anymore kasi you need a training, and this one, you have to trigger the behavior. I think 1 and 2, kaya nyo nang you can already derive a hypothesis. So, indirect method, you interview the parents, you check the record, yun na yung sinasabi nyo kanina, the history, medical records, and everything. No? So you do a checklist, you do behavioral interview. That is indirect method. Then, pag meron ng nakita, kasi mangyayari yan, pupunta yung parents sa'yo or ikaw may makita kang behavior. Then you interview yung parent. Ma'am, totoo ba na yung anak mo nanununtok sa bahay? Ma'am, so you do your interview. That is an indirect assessment. Then after that, you observe the child. That is the direct assessment. And then based on that, yung indirect and direct assessment, then you can come up with a hypothesis. Okay? So now, eto na yung behavior intervention plan. How do we address? Now, dito sa indirect and direct method, there are forms now which I will give you. Meron mga forms yan. So, itong indirect assessment, may mga behavioral checklist, functional analysis. Ma'am Ria, meron pa ka pa ba o magpadala ulit ako? Meron ka pa? Wala na yung mga binigay ko noon? So, meron kayong behavioral checklist, meron kang functional analysis interview, meron kang functional analysis screening tool and motivation. So, may mga tools kang ginagamit. Now, you can only use one, pwede na. But me kasi, I try to use 1 or 2 or 3 to validate, to fully validate yung result. And then after that, meron ka ring form to correct the data. So, I think the indirect and direct assessment method is already enough. So now, nakuha mo na. So, di ba? So, let's review na meron ka ng behavior, na operationally define mo yung behavior, na observe mo na direct and indirect assessment. Now, you're ready to do your behavior intervention plan. So, ito yung gawin natin. Assuming that yung function so ito na yung gagawin nyo. Kung alam mo na yung function ng estudyante mo o yung mahal mo sa buhay ay escape, anong gagawin mo? Kasi pag escape, baka sabihin mo, halika nga, bumalik ka nga dito, bumalik ka, tapos pinagalitan mo, that is not the solution. So escape, what you do, okay, so ang escape kasi is they avoid the task. So what you do, you break the task into smaller components. Kahit yung mga bata, Kunwari, yung sa math exam kanina, then pag nahirapan siya, you break the task into smaller components. Halimbawa, kunwari, 10 items yung pinapasagot mong assignment, pwede mong i-break yan into 1 or into 2, or yung lesson, i-break mo into easier components. And then start small, then gradually increase the demand. Or start easy, then gradually increase the degree of difficulty. Etong importante, you teach them how to ask for help. Karamihan ng mga bata kasi takot silang humingin ng tulong. So you teach them how to ask for help. And then when you teach, you start with successful task. Kasi pag pinagawa mo sila ng something successful first try, that will give them so much pride and confidence. And then with that, they can do, pwede ka nang mag-inject ng ng task na mahirap, na kung magkamali man sila, nalagay na sa isip nila na, uy, nakuha ko naman yung una. Then meron tayong tinatawag na grandmother's law. Grandmother's law, if you do this, then you get that. So parang conditional. Gawin mo to, makuha mo ito. And then most importantly, you give them break. Kasi minsan yung mga bata nag-iingay or nagpapasaway dahil pagod na and they need a break. Hindi lang nila alam sabihin. Hindi lang nila alam sabihin yung teacher, I need break. So you give them break. So eto yung mga interventions nyo kung yung function ng behavior ay escape. Okay? And then the next one, attention. So eto na, kung nagpapapansin yung darling nyo, nagpapapansin yung estudyante nyo. So teach how to properly ask for attention. Kunwari, yung girlfriend mo, Sir Teddy, yung asawa mo, nagdadabog, may gusto pala, nagpapapansin sa'yo, sabi mo, darling, wag ka na magdadabog. Kiss mo na lang ako, then I'll give you my attention. Diba? Parang ganon. So yun, you teach them how to properly ask for attention. You teach them alternative behavior. Instead na nagdadabog ka, ba't di mo ako kausapin? Like yung mga bata, okay, instead of you throwing a tantrums, if you want mommy's attention, why don't you tap or tap teacher sa shoulder? So give an alternative. And then you give frequent positive interaction. Pag kulang sa pansin, then pansinin mo. Unahan mo. Pansinin mo. Ang key dito is pansinin mo bago mag-manifest yung unacceptable behavior. Uunahan mo. Kasi pag nauna yung kunwari, let's say, sumasabat siya sa eskwela, speaking out of turn. Uunahan mo. Pag alam mong sasabat na siya, oy, good boy, hindi siya sumabat ngayon. So pag ganon, that is an intervention. Pero pag sumabat na siya, saka mo binigay, that is reinforcing the behavior. And then number 2, may nagtanong kanina yata, dito, avoid verbal reprimand. Kasi pag nire-reprimand mo, that is giving attention. Remember, lalo na yung mga bata, special kids lalo, hindi nila alam the difference between good and bad attention. Attention is attention. So you avoid verbal reprimand because verbal reprimand to them is still an attention. Then you can do a redirection. Redirection. Okay, kung yung bata sapat ng sapat, paano mo i-redirect yun? Oh, sagutin mo nga yung question ko sa unahan mo. And then you always use neutral tone and avoid overreacting. Again, when you overreact to them, that is, again, more attention and they like it more. Di mo ba napansin yung mga anak ninyo, pag nagagalit kayo, lalo silang nagwawala? Because you are overreacting and to them, that is more attention. Or you can do planned ignoring. Now, tangible. So kung tangible naman ang gusto, avoid giving desired item or activity following the undesired behavior. Kasi again, pag binigay mo yan, you are reinforcing the behavior. Kunwari, umiyak, nagpunta kayo ng grocery, gusto ng candy. Mommy, buy candy. Hindi mo binili. Umiyak, binigay mo yung candy. So anong ginawa mo doon? Ni-reinforce mo yung pag-iyak. So in the future, pag gusto niya ng candy, iiyak siya. Now again, use the grandmother's law or Prima principle. If you do this, then you get that. If you finish your lesson, then you get your ice cream. Parang ganun lang. And then use the item or activity as reinforcement. Parang dito, kunwari gusto niya ng ice cream. So gamitin mo as reinforcement. You finish your lesson, then you get the ice cream. Okay, and the last one is sensory. Now, sensory, ito yung pinakamahirap. So you have to identify the environmental factors. Bakit siya nagwawala? Mainit ba? Malamig ba? May masakit pa? then you give an alternative behavior that has a similar function. Parang yung kanina, yung sabi niyo pag ganon, then you can give, okay. So kunwari, sensory. Sensory yung ganyan niya. Yun nga, yung sabi natin, pwedeng you can give, yung stress ball. Or ano pang pwede mong gawin? Hands on your pocket. So pag yung hands niya nasa pocket, hindi niya magano. So that is an alternative behavior. Or you do an incompatible behavior. Kung naggaganon siya, anong ibig sabihin ng incompatible behavior? Bigyan mo siya ng something na gawin para hindi niya maganyan yung kamay niya. Pasulatin mo or palaruin mo or whatever. So that is an incompatible. Or response blocking. Don't do that. Kasi kunwari ang response blocking, kunwari yung bata mahilig magkutkot ng scalp, yung gamot yung kutkot ng, or yung bata na nag-auditory, remember yung nagkukuskus ng kamay? So response blocking, how do you how you block the response? Bigyan mo siya ng guantes. Yung guantes, para pag kinuskus niya, wala siyang reinforcement. So now, alam nyo na, so very easy. Alam nyo na before you do anything, you check the function of the behavior. Now, alam mo na yung function ng behavior, then these are the intervention. So, recap lang. So, anong natutunan nyo ngayon? History, then behavior, paano gumawa ng operation, paano mag-operationally define, define ng behavior, and then, yun na form and function, and then how do you do functional behavioral assessment, and how do you design an intervention program in addressing the 4 functions of the behavior. So with that, okay, yung takeaway nyo, always determine the function first before doing any intervention. Then consistency is the key to a successful program. And then replace problem behavior with socially valid one for extinction program. And number 4, you also have to change your behavior. So with that, together, you ask all of us, the home, the school, and the child, we all can make a difference. And together, we can do better. So with that, I would like to thank you for listening. Palawan, thank you so much. I had a nice time. And, I'm so happy a lot of you participated, and I hope that you learned something this afternoon. So if you have questions, and also Ma'am Ria, I cannot thank you enough for the opportunity. I really enjoy all my sessions with you. Thank you.
Ma'am Gina, kami po ang sobrang natutuwa na you always have time for us. Talaga po.
Malakas ka sa
you
akin.
make time. Ma'am Gina, may question po yata sila about some specific cases. Baka you can address
Yeah, sure. Okay, just let me know pag end na ha. So anyway, I would like talagang Ma'am Ria, you always have a place in my calendar. Actually, sa totoo lang punong-puno na ako hanggang April of next year. But pag sinabi mo clear, let's clear the calendar for Ma'am Ria. No, that's good. I'm good. Don't worry.
Ma'am, ito po.
Go ahead. Ano yung question natin po?
May tanong po sila. Yung paggamit ng phone, Ma'am Gina, paano po yung pupil na hindi matigil sa paggamit ng phone? Healthy po ba na kunin, confiscate?
No, very good. No, that's a very good question, because this one, hindi ko alam kung na-experience nyo ito ha. Now, before I answer that case, alam nyo ba, teachers ha, baka na-experience nyo ito na hindi nyo lang na-realize. Ang dami kong cases ngayon, real cases, mga grade 4, grade as old as 3, 4, grade 4, grade 5, mga ganon. During the exam, bumabagsak sila. Hindi nila alam yung exam, kaya lang napapagod silang magsulat. Gitna ng exam, pagod na, ayaw na nila. Why? Because their fine motors are very weak. Fine motor skills. Paano nangyari yon? Kasi sa kagagamit nila masyado ng tablet, iPhone, iPad. Because when you use the tablet, iPhone, and iPad, ito lang yung fingers mo na exercise. Remember nung tayo ang bata, sungka, jackstone, kung ano-anong nilalaro natin. So by the time we go to school, it was never an issue. Ang lalakas na ng mga fingers natin, so kaya na natin magsulat. If at all, ang hindi natin alam, yung tamang paghawak ng lapis. Ngayon, grade 4, grade 5, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, ang hihina ng pencil control nila, wrong grip, ang daling mapagod yung kamay nila. So therefore, number 1, talagang yan ang culprit ko talaga, yung talagang the iPhone and iPad. Now, let's analyze the behavior of the parents in that scenario. Bakit ang parent binibigay nila ang iPad at saka iPhone doon sa bata? Now, ang sagot dyan is dahil ang parent tinatamad mag-alaga sa bata. Sinab-contract na niya, pinagawa na niyang yaya yung iPad. Okay, scenario. Kunwari yung bata nagtatantrum. Kung wala kayong iPad nung panahon natin, walang iPad, so ang nanay pupunta, disiplinahin ka, kausapin ka, i-explain. Ngayon, bata nagtantrum, ayan, mag-iPad ka. Dati, pag nabobor ang bata, yung buong pamilya naglalaro, after dinner, they play board games. Ngayon, ang nanay, wala nang oras, anak, mag-iPad ka. Kasi ni nanay naman, nagpe-Facebook din. Okay? So, ganun ang nangyari. So, si nanay, para mapawasan ang responsibilidad niya, ipinasa niya doon sa iPad and iPhone. So now, please, if that happens, now, hindi away lang. Ngayon, how do you address that? Now, kung yung iPhone, meron kasi akong course about nito, extinction. No? Now, ikaw na teacher, yung bata mo hindi mo makontrol sa pagtigil hindi mo mapatigil sa paglaro ng iPad or iPhone. Huwag mong biglang kukunin 'yon. Pag kinuha mo 'yon, away kayo. Magiging kontrabida ka pa. Kung kukunin mo 'yon. Now, in my other subject, in my other courses, okay, meron tayong intervention for that. For now, I can think of two interventions for that. Number 1, meron akong tinatawag na extinction. Number 1, yung extinction, the reinforcer, which is the iPad or the iPhone, is no longer reinforcing. So what do you do there? Ngayon, wag mo kukunin sa kanya yung iPad or iPhone. Kasi pag kinuha mo, away kayo. Gagawin mo, lagyan mo ng password. Lagyan mo ang password. O, wag mo lagyan ng load. So, hindi mo kinuha yung iPhone, yet hindi niya malaro kasi walang load or walang ano. So, that is another one. That is called extinction. Number 2, magbigay ka ng, meron tayong tinatawag na stimulus control. So, ano pa, kumuha ka ng something na gustong-gusto pa niya, na very stimulating sa kanya, na pwede mong unti-unting ipalit doon sa iPhone or iPad. So whatever that is, again, you have to do your preference assessment. So number 1, hindi effective yung hablutin mo at kunin mo. Stop playing with that. No, because if that happens, magiging magiging aversive stimulus ka lang doon sa bata. So ang gagawin mo, number 1, extinction. Make it hindi na reinforcing. And then number 2 is maghanap ka ng something that he likes that can compete with that iPad or iPhone. Pero, ang sinasabi ko, itigil yan as soon as possible kasi masisira yung fingers niya. And fine motors, alam niyo yan mga teachers, ang fine motors ay one of the 7 areas of development. Kasi kahit kunwari ang galing yung bata, gusto maging engineer. Paano siya maging engineer kung ang hina yung fine motor skills niya? Gusto niyang maging architect, paano siya makakadrawing? Ang hina yung fine motor skills niya. So please, I have cases, 3 years old, 4 years old, they fail the exam because of weak fine motor skills. Do not allow that, teachers. Kasi sayang at kawawa sila. So yon. So technique, 2 techniques yan, extinction or alternative. Find an stimulus control transfer or find an alternative na kapalit nun. Wag lang yung hablot kaagad. Okay? So any other questions?
Thank you, Ma'am Gina. Napaka-informative nun. Kaya pala napapansin ko yung grade 1 ko na anak, hirap siyang magsulat. Maybe because too much tablet.
Because when you do an X-ray, they did an X-ray. Kasi when you do an X-ray sa fingers ng mga bata, kung titignan mo, hindi pa masyadong connected yung mga knuckles nila. I think at a certain age pa yan mako-connect. So, imagine mo kung 0 to 5, wala nang chance ma-exercise yan, hindi na yun magko-connect. So, magiging weak talaga yung ano mo. Kasi hindi, kung tignan mo, hindi. Ito lang yung nagagamit.
Ito lang.
Ganyan. So, ang mangyari yan, kawawa sila. Pagdating ng college or pagdating ng exams, hirap sila. Kaya a lot of schools now, dati kasi they transition to iPad and a lot of them are going back to the traditional pen and paper. Kasi nga, kaya lang nakakalungkot talaga kasi yung mga parents, sila talaga yung may issue niyan kasi ayaw na nilang idisiplina yung anak nila, ayaw na nilang magtrabaho. So naka-subcontract na sa iPad. They can use iPad pag laki na nila, pag develop na yung fine motors nila. Wag sa mga, kung high school na sila or college, yeah, because fully developed na yung kanilang fine motor skills.
May one more question dito, Ma'am Gina. I think related to response yata to dun sa example mo kanina na nambabato ng chair.
Yeah.
Sabi niya, nambabalibag ng armchair, grade 1 pupil, at iba pang gamit sa room. Violent po siya sa mga classmates niya dahil ayaw niya po magpaiwan sa nanay. Bigla na lang tumatakbo sa labas. Pag kinukuha po ni teacher sa room, pati po daw si teacher sinusuntok, dinuduroan, nagwawala po siya.
Now, look at that. What does that child, look at that. Ano yung function, ano yung possible? Now, itong natin, yung assessment ng natin is puro hypothetical based on the information lang na binigay nyo. Pwedeng mag-iba. So, you look, ilang taon po yung bata?
Grade 1 daw, teacher. Grade 1 daw siya, Ma'am Gina.
Grade 1. So, now, if you look at that, ano yung possible function ng behavior?
Yung nag-share po nun, Ma'am. Sino
nag-share nun?
Wait lang po, balikan ko.
No, it's probably
Ma'am Nika?
Yeah. Yun naman, yun kasi, it's probably escape. Because, probably ayaw niya sa eskwela. Kasi pag nandun na siya, nagwawala siya. Wala naman siyang gusto na tangible eh. Hindi naman attention ng nanay kasi ang gusto lang niya is probably sasama sa nanay because he wants to escape. So maaring the lessons or the task are too difficult for him. So doon na kayo gagamit ng modification and accommodation you try. Kasi there's the reason. You see, behavior is a form of communication. Probably hindi niya masabi na, teacher, ang hirap naman ng lesson, hindi ko talaga kaya. Or for all you know, baka may intellectual disability yung bata. So, you have to check. Doon na papasok yung assessment. Kasi kung sino nagtanong doon, teach, doon na papasok yung assessment. Kasi bakit ganon? So, you assess. Why? So, siguro umpisahan mo na. Ano yung function ng behavior niya? Now, pag hindi mo na kaya outside the scope ng mo, then suggest mo, get a assessment na. Oo. So, marami, meron pa dito, may mahaba pa dito. Sino to?
Una po kasi kay Ma'am Lyra, is it natural po for a 2-year-old na laging nagtatantrum if she needs something?
Yeah, no, why? Okay, this again, look at that. That is another story. Ibang istorya yan. Because what happened? Ito na yung sinasabi ko sa inyo. Kasi na-reinforce yung behavior niya. Tingnan mo, magtantrum siya, makukuha niya yung gusto niya. Then magtantrum siya, ibibigay niya yung gusto. So meron na siyang history of reinforcement. Now, meron akong ito, hindi ko alam kung anong gagawin ko noon. Nakikinig ako, hindi nila alam, pinapakinggan ko. 2 autistic full autistic na bata nag-usap. Sabi ng isa, doon sa kausap niya, if you want something from your parents, you cry and they'll give it to you. And then sabi nung isa, no, but what if I cry and still they don't give it? You cry harder and see, you will get it. So, because meron ng history ng reinforcement. In that kid, Lexi, ang sabi nun is, every time may gusto is magtatantrum because pag magtantrum siya, nakukuha niya yung gusto niya. So doon, iba na yon. There is a history. There is a history of that behavior that if I throw a tantrum, I will get what I want.
Last 2 questions na po siguro tong kay Sir Ian tsaka kay Ma'am Shena. May sabi po ni Sir Ian, paano po kaya kung may student na nanununtok, nananakit ng classmates, sinasaway pero hindi sumusunod? Kapag sinaway sa school, tumitigil po. Pero pag wala ng guro, babalik na naman ang behavior. Kapag napalo ng parent, dumudugo po ang ilong, pati bibig. So mayroong physical punishment.
Ayun na nga. But again, I don't recommend nga the physical punishment because with that physical punishment, nag-create ka ng trauma. So now, let's look at that. Let's look at that, I'll ask you a question. Sinong nagtanong yan?
Sir
Pag
Ian po yun.
nananakit ba siya, Sir Ian, pag nananakit ba siya sa kahit saan ba, let's identify. Pag nananakit ba siya kahit saang lugar ba o sa classroom lang? Kung sinasaktan niya yung bata ba o kahit sino? Sir Ian. Come with, okay, Sir Ian, there you are, I saw you. Sir Ian, question. Kasi dito, so ang sabi mo is nananakit mo ang bata. So tutulungan kita paano yan ma-address. So yung bata, una, saan ba siya nanununtok? Sa classroom o sa labas ng classroom? At tanggalin mo yung headphone mo kasi hindi natin hinig. So, sige. Saan po?
Kahit saan po, ma'am.
So, okay. So, na-identify mo na. Na-identify mo na nananakit siya kahit saan. Correct. Okay. Number 2, meron ba siyang particular na bata na sinasaktan o kahit sino?
Kahit sino po.
Okay. So, now, na-identify mo na. Kahit sino, kahit saan. Now, ang question, ito na tinatawag na antecedent behavior and consequence. So, ano yung nangyayari bago siya manuntok? Ano usually yung nangyayari bago siya manuntok?
Kasi minsan kapag nagkaklase, wala yung guro. Yun po yung yung kinukwento lang ng mga bata na yun, nanununtok na lang daw po bigla.
So bigla na siyang nanununtok. Pero before siya manuntok, dapat may trigger yan. Before siya manuntok, yun ang assignment mo. Before siya manuntok, ano yung sitwasyon bago siya manuntok? At ano ang ginagawa after niyang manuntok? After niyang manuntok, pinapagalitan siya. Di ba? Sinasabihan siya. But the behavior is increased. Number 1, it's probably the attention that he likes. Or probably he's trying to communicate, no, na hindi niya masabi. You have to remember, ang mga bata, hindi sila eloquent. Hindi nila masabi ang gusto niya. So, ang assignment mo, Sir Ian, tignan mo kung ano ang nangyayari before the behavior, immediately before siya manuntok.
May isang ma'am, incident na ang kwento ng magulang, yung kuya gusto ng ibang palabas, tapos siya iba din. Tapos gusto niya yung kasunod yung sa kanya, kaya yun, kinagat niya yung kuya niya.
Okay, see, look at that. So ngayon, based on that, Sir Ian, I think baka yun ang gusto niya talaga is tangible. Meron siyang gusto. Kita mo? Meron siyang gusto, which is yung palabas. So para makuha niya, nangagat siya. Ganon din yung umiiyak na bata, yung sabi niyo umiiyak kasi may gusto. So ngayon, nasasanay siya based doon sa kwento mo, Sir Ian, may history na pag nanuntok siya o nanakit, binibigay yung gusto niya para hindi manuntok. Di ba? May mentality tayong ganon. O sige na nga, para matigil lang. Sige na nga, para wag manakit. But by doing that, hindi natin nare-realize we are reinforcing the behavior. So we are creating a history that if I do this, I get what I want. Remember yung dalawang bata na if you want something, you cry. So parang yan, if you want something, you hit your classmates, then you get what you want. So it's probably, now, but yun ang assignment mo. We need to validate your hypothesis. You have to check. Ano yung nangyayari before the behavior? Because yung example mo kanina, the TV, it's tangible that he wants. So you check. So then by then, makakakuha ka na ng pattern. So thank you for the question, Sir Ian. So you check and then you apply kung anong natutunan mo dito. But for that specific behavior, you check anong nangyayari before the behavior. Okay, Sir Ian? Klaro?
Thank you.
Ma'am Gina, ito po maganda yung tanong ni Ma'am Sheena May. Sa grade level po daw nila, hinihiwalay nila yung with special needs children. Ano po bang mas maganda ipagsama o paghiwalay kasi wala daw silang special teacher? Okay, so bago daw sa kanila yung ganun.
Yun yung challenge. Yun yung challenge natin as teachers. Ang hirap because hindi mo kaya. I mean, realistically speaking, hindi natin kaya as teacher na mabigay lahat yung pangangailangan ng bata, lalo na pag pinaghalo mo yung SPED at saka yung regular. Again, yung nangyari dyan, ang ginagawa lang dyan, inclusion based on yung sa lugar, sa classroom inclusion lang yan. It's not an access to the curriculum. So nakikita nyo na yung... So, una-una, talagang dilemma natin yan. If at least man lang sana dyan, meron kang ano dito, para professional, ano tawag nun, at least malang may assistant teacher ka. But again, sa ganyan, unang-una, hindi mo dapat ihalo yung SPED sa regular kung hindi mo kayang i-provide yung need nila. Parang nilagay mo lang diyan eh. Parang nilagay mo lang diyan to begin with. Ang question natin diyan, Ma'am Rhea, is yung mga bata bang SPED na yon, are they ready for inclusion or nilagay lang dahil walang mapaglagyan? So if that is the yun yung intention, it's very sad and unfortunate. Because even si teacher, kahit na gustong-gusto niyang tulungan, hindi niya, ang ano dyan kasi is you cannot, kunwari meron kang SPED na 3 and then meron kang 25 na regular students. You cannot naman sacrifice yung 25 students mo for the sake of the 3 SPED. Unfair din yun. Oo, unfair din yun. So how I wish meron akong sagot dyan, but yung sitwasyon na ganyan, it's very common dito sa atin, and it's very sad and unfortunate, at kawawa yung teacher. So ang nangyayari yan, napapatig na yung teacher, hindi pa na ma-maximize yung turo niya. Kasi paano mo ngayon yan gagawin? So you only integrate yung SPED. Yung SPED, i-integrate mo lang if they are not ready. And in that case nga, sabi mo, Ma'am Rhea, wala silang SPED. I don't think they're even ready. Kawawa lahat sila. Kawawa si teacher, kawawa yung SPED, kawawa yung regular kids. And that should not be the case. Wala eh. Ano na yan? Ang issue na yan kasi, Ma'am Rhea, is the resources. Walang resources. That's the issue. Ang sagot lang dyan, ma'am, kung sinong may question dyan, is resources talaga. Kung tanong mo kung dapat ba, ang sagot hindi. Not unless they are ready. Kasi kung ready na sila for inclusion nga, you can just do a modification and accommodation lang. Pero paano mo yan gagawin pag sila mismo hindi ready?
Yes.
My heart bleeds for you, ma'am.
That's true.
Yeah. Wala eh. Talagang hirap. Naawa ako yung mga iba pa. Yung mga iba naman, may SPED school nga sila. Pero minsan 75 isang class. Tapos halo-halo. Paano mo matuturuan yan na pag yung isang mong estudyante nandun, cognitively mataas, sasabay mo doon sa hindi cognitively. So paano mo sila tuturuan? I-average mo, hindi naman yan tatama yung nakalungkot. Actually, dyan ako nalulungkot eh. And
yes, very talaga.
Dito, yeah, how sad. Doon ako nalulungkot, Ma'am Rhea. Itong si Ma'am Chiri, ano bang tanong niya? Kapag naunahan ng classmate, tapos ng activity, tantrum po siya, humihigat siya, nagsisikaw siya, gulo, anong klase po ang dapat gagawin? No, ito na nga, tantrum siya, naunahan siya ng classmate niya. And then dito, madami kang pwedeng ituturo dito. Ang number 1, okay, now, isa pa na Now, hindi, ito in relation to kay Ma'am Chiri. Una-una, ang bata, whether special kid or regular kid, meron tayong tinatawag na prerequisite skill. Pag wala kang prerequisite skill, hindi mo talaga matuturuan yung bata. Anong prerequisite skill natin? Focus, attention, waiting skill, and following instruction. Pag wala yan, hindi mo talaga, mahirapan ka talagang magturo. Paano siya matuturuan ng academics? Paano siya maturuan ng ng kung ano-ano kung wala siyang prerequisite skills? Mahirap. You need to develop the prerequisite skills first. Kasi yung mga iba dumidiretso sa academics eh. Ang hirap, mahirap yan. Ano nyo muna yung prerequisite skills. May pag-asa pa po bang gumaling ang mga batang special needs? Okay, now, realistically speaking, let's talk about autism. Okay, ang batang may special needs, no, especially neurological disorder, hindi sila, it's not reversible. Hindi yan gagaling. But they are manageable. Ang daming nabubuhay ng normal, functional, kasi na-manage yung behavior nila. But to reverse, no, realistically speaking, no. Sana kung meron, ako na yung nauna. Kasi may anak akong autistic 2. Now, kung may pag-asang gumaling, yun. But you can make them manageable. Actually, yung mga bata, sino nagtanong dito? Si Ma'am Chini. Actually, yung anak ko, mga autistic sila, academically hindi mataas, pero very functional sila. Kaya nilang mabuhay kasi tinuruan ko sila na maging functional. So madali silang alagaan. So, yun. Any other question? Kung may mga nakaligtaan man ako, sorry ha. So, sino pa? Can I ask po a personal question? So, ano yun? Sige. Ma'am Rhea, ano pa? Meron pa? Wala na?
Siguro po, si Ma'am, siguro po last na lang tong kay Ma'am Leia. In our home po kasi ang disciplinarian sa amin, 2 years old ay ang asawa ko. Ma'am Gina, okay lang po ba yun na sa edad 2 years old, napapagalitan na po ang aming baby ng tatay niya kapag may nagawa naman po siyang mali? Na-observe ko po, takot siya kay tatay niya and once na magsalita ang tatay niya, susunod po agad. Minsan gusto niyang umiyak, pero once nagsalita ang tatay niya, behave na po siya agad. Sa tatay po, behave siya, pero sa akin, super pa-bebe po.
No, mahirap yan, ma'am. Kasi kung tignan mo, gusto ba natin na sumunod yung bata because of fear? Oo, kasi baka mamaya makadevelop pa siya ng psychological problem dito. So ngayon, ang suggestion ko, Ma'am Leah, gamitin mo na yung function of the behavior para ma-address mo yung ano ng anak mo. Ano ba yung gusto niya? Pag umiiyak ba yung anak mo, ano bang gusto niya? Is it escape? Is it attention? And then you address that based doon sa sinabi kong intervention. Kasi wag ma'am, kasi alam mo, nakakatakot pag yung bata lumaki out of fear. Yung susunod nga, susunod nga siya sa'yo pero hindi mo alam kung ano yung nasa mind niya. So wag ma'am, kausapin mo si sir na turo mo yung function ng behavior and then wag ganon kasi kawawa siya. Tingnan mo 2 years old pa lang nabubuo na yung takot sa kanya. It's either that or ang mahirap pa niyan ma'am, baka paglaki niya takot siya sa lahat. Hindi niya kayang ipagtanggol yung sarili niya kasi nga dito wala siyang boses, wala siyang voice. Kasi kung mag-ano siya, magagalit. So ang mangyayari niyan, magki-cave in siya or hindi niya kayang ipagtanggol yung sarili niya or matatakot siya sa lahat. Baka konting taas lang ng boses, matatakot na siya. So, wag ma'am, iwasan natin yung ano. Sa totoo lang, mas madaling i-manage yung mga neurological problem kaysa yung psychological po. So, yun yung ano niya.
Ang dami pong pumapasok na question pero
yan nga.
last,
if you're pregnant, may tendency ba ma-adapt ng no. Now, if you're pregnant, may tendency ba na ma-adapt ng bata na ng dinadala ng teacher? Ano ba ibig sabihin nito, ma'am? Yung dinadala, yung problema or sakit or ano yon? No, kasi ang sa totoo lang ang neurological problem kasi hindi neurological disorder, hindi pa nila alam up to now ano yung cause, ano yung origin, ano yung cure. So hindi natin alam. So ang ano lang ma'am, ang suspetsa lang nila is either genetics or environmental. Walang pang specific.
Yes po. Okay, so siguro po i-reserve natin yung mga ibang questions natin. First session pa lang po natin to. Bukas po, meron pa tayong 2 speaker. So sa morning po, may speaker tayo. Tapos sa hapon po si Doc Grace, yung partner
Reserve nyo kay Doc Grace. Reserve nyo kay Doc Grace yung tanong nyo.
Opo. Marami silang mga tanong. Talaga pong very interesting talaga. No? Nung una, medyo nahihiya sila. Pero ngayon, na alam na nila yung ABA at mga assessment strategies. Marami silang interesting na tanong. I-reserve po natin for tomorrow.
That's anong tawag mo dito? Kaya nga yun yung isa sa mga advocacy ko. I'm teaching teachers yung sa RBT. Meron akong classes for RBT para alam niyo kung paano i-gawin. Kasi ang dami yung masisave na bata kung yung intervention nyo ay tama. Kasi pag hindi yan tama nga, kahit anong effort mo, pag hindi mo nakuha yung behavior, hindi mo yan ma-address. And now, I hope naging lesson din ito sa inyo. You have to ask your questions because that's the only way for you to learn. Kasi kung di-discuss lang ako, mga kaso ko yun, hindi niyo yun kaso. So, use the opportunity, yung mga training ni Ma'am Ria, use that opportunity. You ask questions. Ako nga, pag nag-a-attend ako ng mga seminar, sinusulit ko, nagtatanong ako. So, yun yung pagkakataon nyo because again, mga free consultations yan.
Opo.
Yeah.
Magkano may PF na yan pag sa labas?
Yeah. That's also expensive na yan, no? Yung mga use of kasi meron akong mga nanay na taga-Tondo, may mga anak silang special need, wala silang mga syempre pang therapy. So what they do, they attend all my seminars and they ask questions, they ask free consultation yan. You do that. Lalo na yung mga seminars, Ma'am Rhea, very informative and very educational yung mga seminars ni Ma'am Ria and you will learn a lot. So you ask questions. Okay?
Thank you, Ma'am Gina.
Thank you so much.
Sobrang
Thank you so much.
overtime ka na.
That's okay.
Pasensya na po.
May klase ako ng may klase ako ng 5. So,
Kaya nga
perfect.
po. Thank you
So,
very much, Ma'am Gina.
Thank you so much, and it's an honor. And again, good luck everyone. Thank you, Ma'am Ria. Bye-bye po.
Thank you, Paul. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Po.
Dear teachers, I know po you have more questions pa na hindi natin na-address. No? So, bibigay ko rin po yung contact information ni Ma'am Gina. Magpapaalam po ako sa kanya kung pwede po nating i-post dun sa ating Facebook group page, her email at least, para po if you want to get in touch with her for personal purposes po or for your school, maaari po nating gawin. Siguro po before we end with this afternoon session, yun pong ating assessment tool, nakapost na po doon. So pwede po nating sagutan yung ating assessment question for session 1. Pinost ko na rin po yung presentation ni Ma'am Gina, as well as yung sinasabi niya pong assessment tools na pwede natin gamitin for ABA. 3 klase po yata yun yung file na binigay niya. So tignan niyo po, no? Pwede niyo pong siguro i-modify yun. Pwede niyo po siyang gamitin sa mga cases na hinahandle niyo po sa inyong schools for initial assessment po as teacher. So sabi naman po niya, yung mga tools na yun ay pwedeng gamitin ng mga classroom teachers po kagaya natin. Okay po, before we end with this afternoon, baka po gusto nating mag-group picture muna po. Kindly turn on your videos po for few minutes lang po so we can capture your participation this
Ma'am,
afternoon.
good afternoon po.
Hello po.
Ma'am, permission to ask.
Yes
yung
po.
tungkol po doon sa attendance, paano
Yes,
po pag hindi po maka-open since hindi pa po nakasali sa page?
Don't worry po. Mamaya po i-check ko po ulit yung mga requests for admission to the FB group page. Don't worry po. Open naman po 'yun, ma'am.
Sige po. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay po. So go from one gallery to the next one po ako. Medyo matagal lang po kasi tablet po ito. Hold on po. Smile lang po tayo until we reach the end. Next gallery po. Next gallery. Next gallery po. Next po. Next gallery. Next gallery po. Medyo marami po tayo. Tiyaga lang po, sandali lang po. Next gallery po. Next gallery po. Next gallery po tayo. Next gallery po. Okay, yung iba po naka-off po yung video. Okay lang po yan. So, again, dear teachers, thank you very much for very actively participating this afternoon. I'm sure po madami tayong takeaways from Ma'am Gina's session. Tomorrow po, we have a whole day session po tayo. So, meron po tayong session in the morning that starts at 8:30 and session in the afternoon po that starts at 1:30 in the afternoon. So, we end the synchronous session and proceed to the asynchronous session na po tayo. We can now answer our assessment task. Dear teachers, enjoy the rest of the afternoon. God bless everyone. We'll see you po tomorrow.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much po,
Thank you po.
Madam.
Salamat
Thank you
God
po.
bless.
Thank you so much po.
Thank you po.
Thank you,
Maraming
ma'am.
salamat.
Good po. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.
God bless po sa inyong lahat.
Very much.
See you tomorrow, Ma'am Maria.
See you all po. See you tomorrow.
Ano?
Ako, nakalid. Dali! Ako nakalid. Ungan pa nakalid.